Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes of all teen ages, welcome to the 100th live stream on Kick. This is kind of wild for me. Little wild. Little wild. I never really expected to even make it to 100 live streams. I thought that, man, I'm probably gonna do this over Christmas break and then kind of give up because I'm too busy, or I get bored of the thing, or whatever it happens to be. And here we are. Here we are. 100 live streams. Wow. We are like 4 months and a couple weeks. 4 months and a couple weeks later. Which is absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. I guess technically you could say 5 months because December to May is technically 5 months, but more realistically, yeah, 4 months and 4 months and change, because I've taken days off or a couple weeks here or there. But yeah, wow, we made it. We made it to 100 days. Something I never really expected. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy looking back. I started this off because I thought, you know what? I want to do something cool. It's Christmas. I do a yearly replay of the Arkham games. And what better time to start? What better time to live stream than live streaming Arkham Origins on Christmas, a game that takes place on Christmas. What better time to start streaming? And here we are. Here we are, 100 live streams later. Wow. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what to say. When this goes up on the VOD channel, it will say that there's 110 videos up there. That's because there's 2 videos up there that are highlight videos, and there's 8 other videos up there that were live streams on the YouTube channel like 2 years ago. So I don't really count those. This is the 100th live stream for the channel, and honestly, I'm probably going to get rid of those old live streams because I don't need them. I don't really need them. Those 8. I mean, I think are they all Warzone? They're mostly Warzone. They're 8 Warzone live streams from like 2 years ago on the YouTube side of things. I tried streaming on YouTube and it was fine. It was perfectly fine. There was no functional issues with it. In fact, it has a few more features than over here on Kick, but I don't know. I got bored. I got bored of it. And then it was around the time that Kick really started kicking off, and I thought, okay, well, might as well make a bunch of Kick assets. And then I got super busy for a year and a half. I got extremely busy for a year and a half running some school clubs, working the current job I have, and then also family stuff. So I didn't really get much of a chance. But here we are, 100 live streams. Man, I don't really know what to say. I as much as I prepare for these things, I mentally prepare. I make sure I'm awake. I make sure I'm on. I'm ready to go. I have no idea what I want to say. Thank you to all of you who have been watching, whether you've been watching one live stream or you've seen all 100. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild that anyone. I find it very wild that anyone would want to watch the things that I make. I find myself. Especially in a live format, I find myself to be rather boring. I'm very focused on whatever I'm doing. I'm not the most talkative unless you get me on a tangent. I can go for hours, but when I'm just focused on the game I'm playing, I tend to really zone in. I lock in and I just I can go on for. 3 hours is what I have to limit myself to. Otherwise, the footage would take forever to render. It would never get uploaded. But I can go for hours and hours, not really talking, just working on the thing. But it's really cool. It's really cool that anyone would want to watch, especially 100 episodes worth of my stuff. So how about we jump into it, you know? Excuse me. I did not mean to cough into the mic. How about we jump into it? We are going to be doing something rather special today. We are going to be touring my a very ambitious Minecraft project that I had been working on, and I have been working on this on and off for about 6 years at this point. In fact, it was 5 years and like 5.5 years. 5.5 years. It was back in October or November of. Hold on, is the music going? There we go. Okay, sorry. There we go. It was back in October or November of 2018 that I began a little project called Project Gotham City. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who have not met me personally or have not watched my my one semi-successful YouTube video, I am a massive Batman fan. Have been all of my life. My earliest memory, I was 2 years old. And I was watching Batman the Animated Series. Kind of stuck with me forever. And so in 2018, I began this project called Project Gotham City. I wanted to build a one-to-one recreation of Gotham City in Minecraft. Now, the question became, well, which Gotham City are you going to build? And I decided I don't want to go New York. I don't want to make the New York Gotham City. I don't want to make Chicago Gotham City. I want to make a true comic Gotham City. I want to take elements from all of the important aspects of Batman throughout media, and I want to make one Gotham City. So I created a map based off of the but the most popular official DC map of Gotham City throughout the comics. It was used in a bunch of different things. It was developed by an actual city planner. And I went to work building things. Now the tough part, most buildings in Gotham do not have a set design because, well, I mean, they're not gonna have a set design for like 200,000 buildings. They're not gonna have one specific design for 200,000 buildings. They're not gonna have individual canon layouts for 200,000 buildings. No, you're gonna get your basics. You're gonna get your Wayne Manor, your Arkham Asylum, maybe your GCPD, depending on the artist in charge, your Wayne Tower and your Old Wayne Tower, and a couple of other key buildings. But you're not going to get all 200,000 buildings within the city or whatever it ends up being. So I had to get very creative with what I did. So how about we jump into it? I've been rambling to sort of set up what we're doing today. For the 100th stream special. How about I actually just jump into it? It might take a bit for us to load in because this is a world on Minecraft version 1.7.10 with over 140 mods. In fact, I think we've got 149. Something wild. We've got nearly 150 mods on this one world built for Minecraft 1.7.10 from 6 years ago. It's really a version of Minecraft that's a decade old and makes me feel ancient, even though I'm not. Made sure to get plenty of water because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking today, explaining all the different buildings that I've worked on. I don't even know where we're going to spawn. No idea where we're going to start off today. Absolutely no idea. Let's see. Yeah, this is one of the this is one of the most busted versions of Minecraft. I used to host this map on a private server because I used to not have nearly as many rendering resources to go ahead and actually host it on my own computer. But the map became so big that it actually stopped working on a 10 gigabyte RAM server that I had purchased. So I ended up just loading it onto my stuff, keeping a backup for a long while until I could afford to upgrade my PC. And then when I did, I've hosted it here ever since. So it turns out we're actually at Gotham State University. We are just behind the major administration building here at Gotham State University. We're not going to start here, but I guess now it's all coming back to me where we ended up for all this stuff. We ended up way up here in the university grounds. Okay, so we're not going to be starting up here. This is South Channel Island. South Channel Island is for my headcanon, because so much of them as I've said, so much of Gotham City is technically undefined. There's a layout, but it's very malleable. With the exception of key buildings, the placement of everything else is very malleable. So I have to kind of come up with all the stuff on my own. And at the time of creating this, my plan was to become an architect. So I had all the time in the world to practice a lot of skills here. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting way down here on an island that was technically not in the official in the official Gotham map. This is something that I added in because this is something that was actually a very meaningful addition in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, whatever you want to call it. This is the island of Park Row, or the Narrows, depending on how you want to go for it. This was the first thing I built. When I finally figured out the layout of all the islands based off of the official layout of the map, I looked at everything, and besides Wayne Manor, which will be the final thing that we tour today, besides Wayne Manor, I decided, okay, I finished Wayne Manor. What is the first section of the island that I want to get into now that I've got a little bit of practice, now that I'm getting back into the swing of things? What's the first thing I want to really focus on? And it's this. Technically, these two islands, even though I count them as one continuous, technically these two islands are inventions of my own based off of other popular forms of Batman media that are not explicitly just comics. But we're going to be starting here in Park Row, way down here at the very first building that I ever made. So negative 596, 1639. Okay. And then we'll go 100. That should work. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, so I've got a whole bunch of tools, and I've got my basic build, all the basic blocks that I used to build, and here I've got a creative jetpack. I'm just going to take this off for now. We shouldn't need it. We shouldn't need it today. We're taking things a bit slow. So this was the first building I ever made on this island in this map. This is very clearly the oldest because it is the least detailed exterior, the least detailed interior. There are so many things about this building that if I wasn't set on keeping it because of how important it is to the overall project, how important it is to the progress of the overall project, if I wasn't intent on keeping this building, I would 100% rebuild this. Absolutely. From the ground up. No questions. No questions whatsoever. But this was the first one. I decided I wanted to start, I wanted each of the buildings to have their own little story. Even if it wasn't a unique story, I wanted them each to have a story. Each to have a little bit of life to them, a little bit of some unique aspect to them. Now, the majority of the buildings that I've built over the course of all 6 years for this map have been apartment buildings in one sense or another. There might be townhomes, they might be, brownstones, they might be a mixture of shops with apartments overhead, whatever it happens to be. The vast majority of spaces I've built on this map are living spaces because I need to figure out some way of cramming an entire city's worth of people into a Minecraft map, to scale. Now, by one-to-one scale, I don't mean a purely mathematical one-to-one. I do not mean precisely a meter by meter one-to-one scale. What I mean is I'm taking the spirit of a one-to-one scale map. If my Minecraft character is supposed to be just under 2 meters, approximately 6 feet tall, if Christian here is supposed to be approximately 6 feet tall as a Minecraft character, and the average protagonist of a video game anyway, then how would I scale every building that they enter so that the scale of everything feels like, okay, this is scaled properly? So it's actually technically larger than one-to-one scale, purely mathematically, But in the spirit of it, it is spiritually 1-to-1 scale, where every building fits a 2-scale human being in them in a proper way. All of these spaces feel properly spaced out for the individual. Now with all that preamble, how about we actually just tour this building? So, for those of you who are not particularly familiar, it would be what would it be? It'd be 10,000. Is that night? Is that midnight? I think. No. Oh wow. Okay. No, that command wouldn't come up until later. There we go. We'll just go 1500. Oh no, it's a blood moon. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh geez. Well, I don't want a blood moon, so I guess we'll do this for now. We'll just tour it at daytime for now. Oh well. You lose a little bit of the aesthetic. A little bit of the aesthetic. So Parker's Row, or rather Park Row or the Narrows. I'm in the habit of saying Parker's Row because that's for a different project I'm working on. Park Row, or the Narrows, is basically the slums of Gotham, okay? If you look at the sort of road layout for all of the major highways, all of the major bridges and everything, they kind of build over the Narrows as if they want to forget it, as if the city doesn't want to remember this. They don't want to pay attention to, they want to completely neglect this broken down, terrible part of the city. And I don't necessarily blame them for wanting that. I blame them for doing it. They want to do this because it looks bad, because Gotham City in the comics is the most crime-ridden city in the United States, which is saying a lot, because California exists. New York City exists alongside Gotham City, you know? New Jersey, which is where Gotham is based, it makes sense that they would call it the most crime-ridden city. Chicago exists in Gotham City. You know, all of the major super crime-ridden cities in the United States exist inside of DC canon alongside all of these fictional cities. They're not replacements. They may have originally in the Golden Age been replacements. For instance, Gotham as a name is also a nickname for New York. But they became their own, and they exist alongside terrible cities like San Francisco, or like New York, or Newark, or Chicago, or literally just imagine a terrible crime-ridden city in the United States. Gotham City is supposed to be worse. It makes perfect sense to me that Gotham would want to forget the Narrows, but in doing so, they breed essentially they breed a culture of they breed a criminal culture by neglecting the space itself. So I used a lot of older, more like darker, more desaturated tones in this part of the city to sort of reflect that. Some of them, like this building was a massive experiment in a lot of ways. I have not gone onto many of the other buildings, maybe not any of the other buildings, and put wooden slats on all the different windows or anything. This was a very experimental building, and there were a lot of lessons learned about this building. But let's actually go in. I spoke earlier about oh, come on. There we go. I don't want to do this all in there we go. I want the F1 mode. There we go. So the interior looks terrible, and that's by design, because this is, again, a rundown section of the city. You've got each of these individual apartments, these very small spaces, extremely small spaces. You know, they are barely to code. Barely to code only because the landlord is legally required to do something, not because they actually care about the people living in the building or about the health of the building itself. It's a corrupt part of a corrupt city. That's sort of the look and feel of it. Not even all of these apartments have windows. You know, there are some interior apartments that have no windows at all, and it's just dreary and dark. And back here, this is the bedroom. This is the tiny bedroom space. They've got a very old TV. If you remember this mod, for those of you who are very old Minecraft modded players, if you remember this mod, this was a miracle, like a decade ago when the mod came out. But this is the bedroom space. It is cramped. It is tiny, and this is one of the better ones because it's got windows. But it's a massive contrast from the landlord's space. Now, each of the floors, they've got little safes here for mailboxes for mail actually showing up to each of these places. But more or less, each of these apartments, like this one, this is an interior apartment. It's got no windows. It's got no windows anywhere. That's not to code. But it's in a corrupt part of the city. They can kind of get away with it because they probably pay mob protection. The landlord probably pays mob protection in one form or another, so they can kind of get away with it. But way down here at apartment 100, the landlord's apartment, it's a different story. It's got a nice double wall interior, so you get the different exterior to the interior wallpaper or paint or whatever it happens to be. You've got some wood paneling on the walls. You've got a nice big window. You've got a divider because it's still a studio apartment, but it's a nicer looking studio apartment. Certainly for the area. Certainly for the area of town. Like lots of space. He's got a big old flat screen instead of a little tiny tube TV. There's a lot of corruption going on here. Very clearly, a ton of corruption going on here. But he can get away with it because first and foremost, the people who would be renting from a building like this, they don't necessarily have anywhere else to go. I imagine this is probably like Section 8 housing or something. Or whatever it's called in the different states. I know growing up in California, it was called Section 8 housing. Super, like not just low income, super low income housing. But he can get away with it. Not only because technically he's following the essence of the letter of the law, but also probably because he's got mob protection. He can afford to. That's probably the only reason his apartment has not been broken into and he's been murdered is because he's got mob protection. That's the essence of the story I'm going for there. And then on top of the building up here, we've got a primitive attempt, but not terrible attempt at a little bit of a water tower, because water towers in Gotham City are old friends. You can't have Gotham City without having water towers or smokestacks or something peppered around. I'll eventually have to come back and do some more peppering of different objects, but for now, this works wonderfully. Many of the buildings, not all, not nearly all, but many of the buildings do have roof access, and they have functional roof access, so that you can actually go from the top of the building all the way down to the floor, if you really wanted to. But this is supposed to be as close to a living, breathing world as I possibly can get it. Now, for the apartment tours I gave you, you might have noticed something kind of important missing. For those of you watching live who already know what it is, go ahead and leave a comment live. For those of you watching the VOD, go ahead and leave a comment now. There is a very important function of the building. There's a very important function that this building is missing, that many buildings that I will show you today are missing, because it did not occur to me until I had basically built most of the island. It did not occur to me yet, but leave a comment now before you watch the rest of the VOD, because when I reveal it to you, I will go ahead and I'll notify you guys. I'll give you like one last chance or whatever, but you've got a while. You've got a while before I go ahead and do that. This was the very first one I built here. And then following this, I built a series of short brownstones. This series of short brownstones. I played around a lot with World Edit or the different the different World Edit commands, copying and pasting, I could figure out what objects could be copied and pasted, what objects absolutely couldn't. Beds don't copy and paste. Doors don't copy and paste. Well, they copy and paste, but then they'll break once they're pasted. So I have to go and collect all the doors, otherwise it's missing entities. Toilets don't copy and paste. Showers don't copy and paste. There's lots of entities that don't actually copy and paste, but most of the blocks that are, 80 to 90, 80 to 100% full on the actual meter by meter block space, most of those do copy and paste just fine. I just have to orient them properly. So like the stairs, I have to make sure to orient the stairs properly. If I rotate a building, all the stairs are going to be messed up. So I have to go back and fix the stairs, and it's a whole deal. But I built these as the second little thing that I built. So these brownstones, I built definitely in haste, but I built them while I was. Let's see. I built these. I built these while I was doing a rewatch. I was doing a rewatch of Elementary, because they had just announced their final season of Elementary, which was the Sherlock Holmes show set in New York with oh man, I always forget what the actor for Sherlock's name was. But it also had female Dr. Watson. And I guess I'm blanking on both of their names right now, but it was actually a really good interpretation. Sure, it had female Dr. Watson, and there was a lot of discussion online being like, well, why would you make this change? But they didn't sacrifice the quality of the stories for most of the episodes. They didn't sacrifice the quality of the stories for the people that they put in those stories, So I respected it. I was like, okay, it's not the kind of change I would make if I were doing a Sherlock Holmes show. However, if the choice is between Elementary and the BBC Sherlock show, as much as the aesthetics of the Sherlock show, the music, the actual actors involved, a lot of the set pieces, as much as I like a lot of that, Elementary's got, better writing most of the time. Better writing and better character interactions most of the time. But these brownstones were semi-based off of that. Semi-based off of the Elementary brownstone, It's got the darker walls. It's got the darker interior colors. It's got sort of the wide open front space here. And then I didn't really know what to do for the upstairs, so I just sort of created a separate space. We've got a big flat screen here, which is a complete deviation from the previous building, because I thought, you know what? Okay, in between building that one and this set of buildings, I thought, okay, I want the Narrows to show a little bit of a dichotomy. There's essentially two groups of people who are living here. There's people who have been living here for years and years, who have been horribly affected by whether it's municipal policy, whether it's terrible politicians, whether it's corrupt police, whether it's the mob. They've been affected by all these things. And then there's a new crowd who, seeing that Gotham is beginning to be cleaned up, they're moving in. They're bringing their stuff along with them. It's beginning to be gentrified in some ways. Not all in negative ways, but certainly not entirely in positive ways either. And I wanted to show a little bit of that dichotomy. Again, at the time I was going into architecture, and I wanted to play around with different styles, play around with different materials, different combinations of things. It was important to me, and it wasn't all super highly detailed. We'll get into some of those today, but it was special. It was special to me. It was a great tool to help me figure things out. Now this brownstone, clearly more than enough room up here for the master bedroom. So much more room than necessary. I was like, what? When I came to this room, I thought, first and foremost, the terrible layout of this room, just in terms of the kinds of things I can do with it. Terrible layout, but also it was just just like way too much space. I had to fill it with extra stuff. Way too much space. We've got the 2 nightstands. We've got a big vanity over here. We've got a nice big dresser. Just way too much space. Way too much space over here. Completely unnecessary. There's too many things, but there's also too few. It's not as detailed as I would get later on. It's not as detailed as I would get with interiors later on. And you know, all the brownstones essentially have this design. Essentially all this. It's either facing the street or facing the opposite street, and they butt up to each other. And then I built this over here. Now this was an uncomfortable thing for me to build, and it was important for me to build because it does exist in Gotham, and I'm gonna have to go back and build more of these eventually somewhere. I don't know where, but I'm gonna have to at some point. This was very uncomfortable for me to build. Okay, and for those of you who don't know, I am a very devout Christian. I was raised in a Christian household. My two parents were youth pastors. And then eventually lead pastors, and it's a long story. But this was very uncomfortable of a building for me to build. But it's important. I was rewatching the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy while I came to the realization that I kind of need to build this kind of building. So we've got a rather nice, certainly for the area, a rather nice office, nice big couch. Reception space over here, and then up top we've got whoever runs this place. They probably live here. But then you enter into the actual club space. There's the front doors, but we came in through the service entrance. And I don't know, for the sake of YouTube VODs, I don't really know what I'm allowed to say about this building. But if you can look at the building, if you're watching live or if you're watching on the VOD, you know what this building is, just based off of certain objects in place. I can't stop smiling about this because it's kind of my reaction whenever it gets really uncomfortable for me. Is I just kind of oh boy, I hated building this so much. I hated everything about this, but I didn't really have. I like the more I thought about not wanting to do this, the more I realized I don't have much of a choice. I can choose not to, and then not be true to the set goal of building Gotham City, or I can build a place like this and then just hate that I built it. But this is a club that serves a particular form of entertainment. Again, because this is a VOD that's going on YouTube, I don't know what I'm allowed to say that this club is. But if you are watching, it is a particular type of club that serves entertainment towards an adult crowd. And I'm glad I got it out of the way early, because it is the least favorite part of this entire build. My least favorite building. But I have to talk about it. You know, you can't build this and then not talk about the fact that you built the thing. And yes, there's a way to get up to the balcony space up here. Not that it's a better view or anything, but you can get up to the balcony space. And then back here, this is, I assume, where they would prepare or they would dress or something. I deliberately did not decorate this space because I wanted to get the hell out of this building as soon as I built the damn thing. I wanted to get the hell out of here. Because it's just, I don't have any interest in engaging with these kinds of things in my personal life, but it was necessary for me to build. Okay? So when the club is open, we've got the lever. Whoever would I'm losing I'm losing speech. I'm losing my speech because this is a very uncomfortable building for me to talk about. Whoever would be standing at the door here, they've got control over the lever, control over the doors and the whole deal. And then anyone inside the club, if the doors are closed, they can still exit. But that was the building. That was the really uncomfortable building for me to build. That I can't actually, that I'm going to be very careful about for the sake of this VOD staying public on YouTube. I'm going to be very careful about talking about this building. But I moved on from that as soon as I possibly could to this row of buildings, the rest of this first block over here, starting basically here and moving over. This was the next set of things that I built. And what I wanted, and this was also a very difficult test for me, and I'm not happy about these streetlights. And I'll have to go back and redesign these eventually. When eventually I put in streetlights everywhere, I'll have to go back and redesign these. But this street, I wanted sort of a like an open marketplace look and feel to things. I was rewatching the Godfather trilogy at the time, and I had gone ahead and I had been in the middle of rewatching Godfather 2. While I am definitely more of a Godfather 1 guy, not necessarily because the writing is better. I think it really is a contest for the writing between the first two movies. I like the aesthetic of New York more than I like the aesthetic of Nevada when it comes to mob things, unless you're talking the Ocean's movies. Specifically the Ocean's movies. Okay, you got me there. But outside of that, I definitely prefer the New York aesthetic for the mob, and I really, really enjoyed the flashback sequences. In Godfather 2. And I designed this little section of buildings based off of that flashback sequences. The early 20th century New York street markets sort of things. Your Little Italy, all of that. So we've got a nice little fresh produce market here. Apologies, it's been a very long, stressful day for me. Not because of this, just because work stuff in general. It gets repetitive and it gets a bit stressful sometimes. But yeah, we've got a nice little fresh market. Like this might be a terrible part of town, but partially because of the gentrification, you're getting some of the more metropolitan, more the metropolitan things, like your fresh food markets or your fresh like your produce, and your fresh fish. Man, I look at this and I get very hungry. I'm a massive fan of seafood. Have been for a long time. I've always been a big fan of shrimp, scallops, all that kind of stuff. I went to what was it? The summer after 6th grade, I went with my dad to the East Coast for a guy's trip, which was a whole lot of fun. And I had a lot of different types of seafood for the first time. I had lobster for the first time. I had clams. I had mussels for the first time. And it is one of my favorite food types. Out there. And so of course I had to put something here. And it's and the interior. Just the color of the interior is very cold, very sterile, and it has to be because it's seafood you're working with here. It has to be cold. It has to be kept at a certain temperature. There's lots of ice. It's a very cool space. It has to be very sanitary as well. This was an early attempt of mine to make the kind of counter you would walk up to and be and point in and be like, okay, I want one of these. I want some of that. I want, 2 pounds of salmon or whatever it happened to be. This was a very early attempt. I don't know how happy I am with it. Eventually, in 20 years, when I finish building this, I might come back and redesign certain spaces. I don't know. But I was very happy at the time with the interior. with the interior space here. And then the last little section that I just had to do on this side, the last little section, Genco Importing, the olive oil importing business. This is a direct reference specifically to Genco olive oil from the Godfather films. Absolutely, 100%. I totally ripped it and just put it right in here because I thought it was a really cool interior design. I really enjoyed it. It is nice. It's nice. It's rustic. It's very quiet. I like it a lot. A lot of fun. All kinds of, all the different barrels of olive oil, your crates that will definitely have bottles of olive oil in them. The whole deal. Maybe there's everything to do with it. I essentially just took the set piece of the interior of the Genco importing space from the flashbacks and is like, okay, I'm just going to build this. It's not the most detailed thing in the world. Certainly more detailed than a lot of things I was building at the time. And if we go to the other side here, where we've got some more market spaces, we've got, what is this? We've got a small library, which is nice, very nice. Small, quiet, nice little dark library space. Yeah, there's big windows here, but one of them is facing the alleyway. And this one here isn't going to reach, this space back here or whatever. It's a nice, cozy little library space. I like it a lot. Very quiet space. As any library or bookstore should be. We've got a couple of different ones here. So down here we've got a little bit of a cafe. Not a full restaurant. More of a, how would I put this? It's more of a combination small event space, but also totally like a brunch location. And you might be thinking, why the hell would you build a brunch space? First of all, you're a guy. Second of all, why would you build a brunch space? And you're right. Why would I build a brunch space? Again, this comes back to sort of the gentrification. You're getting a lot of more metropolitan ideas that are starting to seep into this very old, neglected part of town because it's starting to get safer. It's starting to clean up a bit more, largely because, of course, of the efforts of Batman, his team, and the GCPD under Gordon. So you're getting more of these spaces in here. Now this is just a little taste of home for me right here. This is a little taste of home. This is a barbershop from back home. I'm not going to say the specific barbershop because I want to, I want them to, if not that this is big or not that I am a big content creator. Of course I'm not, and I'm certainly not someone of great importance. But I would like them to, be able to keep their anonymity. If anyone from back home is watching this, you'll probably recognize this barbershop immediately. It was the most popular barbershop in the area. Nice little space, really cool. Really just a great atmosphere, great guys, great group of people to work with. But this is my first attempt at building a barbershop, and I don't think I did the best. Again, I'll definitely have to come back and eventually reorganize some of this stuff. Like we've got windows on both sides of this thing, and there's no windows. There's no window space out here. I know these are supposed to be like the mirrors, but I've got a much better system now for mirrors than just let's put window blocks in there, or let's put glass blocks. What am I saying? Window blocks. Let's put glass blocks in there. Yeah, that's a little piece of home. And then on top of all these shops, of course, we've got this from the north side. Yeah, from the north side. We've on top of all these shops, we've got small apartments. Small apartments, essentially the same layout as the apartments in the dilapidated apartment building. The difference being, each of these apartments does have at least one window, and the people who live in these apartments own the small businesses down below. They're here because it's both because they can afford to be and because it's convenient, not necessarily because they have no other option. Yeah. Yeah, definitely still an older building, definitely a building under renovation, but not nearly as dilapidated and neglected as the first building over there. And then I went ahead and finished off the rest of this section of the of this city block. This was a slightly nicer apartment building to the original apartment building, but still it's the same layout. It's in fact technically a more cramped space than the original. But it's more of the same. This is not a very affluent part of town. At least the majority of Park Row is not a particularly affluent part of town. People make do with what they have, and hopefully they take care of what they have. That's not always up to them. It's not always up to them, but hopefully they take care of what they have. And the building right next door was, it was recently involved in an arson. It was recently involved in it was recently involved in an ongoing arson investigation that may have been committed by one of a number of notable villains around Gotham City. We don't know which ones yet. We're still investigating. But really, the story of this was I got very bored and didn't want to have to build another brick apartment. And I was like, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll just build something that's broken. Obviously, just build something that's broken and neglected. That maybe it was an arson, maybe it was like a gas leak or something, or maybe it's just a super old, dilapidated building that some of Gotham's homeless population have moved into, and are utilizing as a little space there. Maybe, I don't know. But it's a little bit of a multi-purpose space. Now this, while it's still an older space, it is a recently renovated space. Again, the interiors are cramped, but they're cleaner. You can see the brick we're using here. It's not the old dilapidated brick. This is recently refinished. This is remodeled spaces. All of the woods are a little brighter. The space as a whole just seems a little brighter. Again, totally studio apartments, but that's what you would expect. You would expect studio apartments in a city. In especially a city the size of Gotham, you would totally expect studio apartments. So that's what we've got. We've got a bunch of studio apartments here, and it was a lot of fun to design. It's definitely not the height of design for me, but that's what it was. And it went on like this for a bit. And then I thought, okay, you know what? I want to see what other people do when they build city sections, or I want to look at other architectural styles that would fit in. So I went from about 1890 to 1940. So we've got like a 50-year time span that I said I want this section of the city to kind of look like. Somewhere in between 1890 and 1940, I want this section of town to look like. So we've got a bunch of different things. Again, we've got like a little coffee shop or something here, with apartment spaces up top, of course. We've got a bunch of these sad-looking brick buildings because again, this is an older, more run-down part of town. This building currently has no occupants. And is for rent. I forget. Oh, okay. I guess there's no for rent sign, but some of these buildings do have for rent signs on them. Like this space down here, completely unused currently. But all the apartments are definitely currently in use. And then down here, we've got a 7-Eleven. Of course, we've got a 7-Eleven. Are you kidding me? A terribly rundown part of town. Of course there's a 7-Eleven. There's always going to be a 7-Eleven. That's not a jab at 7-Eleven. 7-Elevens are fine. But yeah, little bit of a 7-Eleven. This is before I decided I just wanted the aisles, the shelves to essentially just back up against each other. But mixed in with all of these like short, sad buildings, we've got we've got a little bit of a higher architectural style here. A little bit more of an elegant architectural style here for some other studio apartments. Some other studio apartment spaces. This guy apparently doesn't watch TV. Whoever they are, apparently they're not big into TV. I assume none of these guys would be. Yeah. No TVs. Okay, but yeah, slightly nicer space. Certainly the architectural style was more complex for me at the time. I did a lot of experimenting with the facades of each of these buildings. It was a lot of fun. A whole lot of fun to work with, the different building materials and different combinations, different colors, all that kind of stuff. And then the curvature of roofs was something I spent a lot of time trying to figure out exactly how I wanted it to work, exactly what it was going to look like. But yeah, we've got these nice renovated spaces. Like this entire building divided, of course, by this dividing line. This and then divided in half this way. But this is a townhome. This is a 3-story townhome right across the street from super terrible apartments. This is not a safe place, and this is not a safe part of town. But it's slowly being gentrified because, they're like, oh, okay, this section of town's a little safer, whatever it happens to be. Oh, I guess this was part of the duplicated section where the beds didn't duplicate in properly. Oh boy, it happens. It happens. Oh, what do they got on the radio? There we go. Okay. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to go ahead and play around with a lot of these. Now, most of these buildings aren't particularly important. I needed to fill them out. I needed to build something that could be a lived-in space that could actually fit people in this. Because my original plan for this map, back when I thought I could get this done in like 2 years tops, here we are 3 times as much as much time later. My original plan for this was I want to build this to be essentially a Minecraft world that I can put together as a Minecraft RP server. That was the idea. It was a big thing at the time. A lot of servers were starting to turn over into like RP style scenarios. It was a big thing, and there wasn't really much in the way of superhero RP stuff. I mean, even now, there's not much in the way of superhero RP stuff. I mean, if you know about the game DC Universe Online, that's kind of the closest we got. That's the closest we have, and their Gotham is okay. I've taken some elements from their Gotham. Their Gotham is okay. It's not as expansive or as detailed or as open of an open world as I would like, which is why I built this. But it's not terrible. It's the closest we have. But the idea is that the grand lofty idea is that at the end of designing this Minecraft map, you could walk in, you could choose to be any kind of citizen in Gotham you want, and there will be a space specifically designed to house you or to fit the job you want to do or whatever it is. It can be as obscure as, you want to rent out one of the empty shop spaces and open up, a bar or something. Or it can be as detailed as, I'm working for one of the crime families and I'm guarding warehouse 67 or whatever it is, something stupid. Something like unnecessarily detailed. And the idea is that I can fulfill all of those things with this map. How long is it going to take me to get there? Probably 20 years if I keep doing this on my own entirely, if I don't have any help whatsoever. But it's not impossible. One last thing before we move on here. One thing that I should do more of, because I really enjoy the challenge of them. I love the challenge of basement apartments. The challenge of basement apartments is really nice. It's a short, small, dark little space that's really difficult to actually fill up with important design elements. But it's a great little challenge, and I should do more of these. I should definitely do more of these. Yeah, they're fun. They are very fun to make. But how about we move on to something a little bit more important in the Narrows. Something a little bit more important, because I'm sitting here and we're about an hour in, and I've got a lot of important things to show you guys. A lot of things that I've done. A lot of things I've designed. Yeah, so these are more townhomes and apartments over here. Now I'm not going to show you all of the interiors, although I do enjoy them. I want to show you instead probably my favorite. Now, if I could get nighttime to work and not be a blood moon. Okay, well. Yeah, it's a blood moon. Probably one of my favorite little vignettes that I built out here is this little rooftop scene here. Got a couple water towers. We've got a bunch of different smokestacks to handle all the different apartments here, all the different townhomes rather. And it's just a nice little space. It's just a nice little space. Very compact, very crowded. But I can imagine some sort of rooftop chase happening over here. Batman's chasing down. I don't know the two guys from the animated series intro, who pull their guns on Batman and think that that's a smart move. It's a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun to design. I always come back to this and think, okay, at some point I have to build more of these vignettes. I need spaces that I can build vignettes into so that I can get more of this environmental storytelling going on. But let's see. Let me show you some of the more important sections of the Narrows that I've built out. We got a little bit opulent. We got a little over our heads with a few of these things. These two buildings are the exact same building. The difference is that I changed the actual brick from brick A to brick B, or brick A to brick B. I don't remember which one. But other than that, they are the exact same building to a T. The exact same building. Only because it became more efficient to do so. And if it can look and if it can feel different enough, that's all it needs to be. Again, duplicated and rotated a building. Simple stuff. But I had to design one of them entirely, and then I had to come in between them and design the fire escape, the fire escape system here, which is one of very few fire escape systems that I've actually designed, because they're very boring to build out, very boring and difficult to build out. This space over here. I don't even remember what this space was. Oh, yes I do. Yes I do. This is not a completely detailed, only because there's only so much detailing I can do. But this is the Narrows precinct. This is the Narrows precinct of the GCPD. This is the Park Row precinct. This little building here. And it was a long time ago that I actually designed this, and I was happy with it. Very happy with it. I'll have to go back at some point and see if I still am. But this is a fun little place to design. We've got my very old sign system that I'll have to change eventually. Got the stairs, lock up, the offices straight ahead, and then the records and more offices over in this direction. Yeah, lots of fun. Lots of fun designing these spaces. Great stuff. Oh, yes, and then we've got the lockup over here, which down below. There you go. Look at that. We got riot gear. We got police batons. All kinds of stuff. Got the lockup in the basement. which is smart. If you got to keep them anywhere, keep them, I guess, in the basement. They don't have easy escape. And then we've got an elevator using, I think it's Open Mod or something. I don't remember. One of the elevator mods. And we've got the actual main office spaces here. We've got a pretty simple desk setup. Everyone is sitting with whoever their partner is, and we've got some offices over here for some of the and of course more records and storage. We got some offices here for individual detectives or the sergeant or whoever's up here. And then this is the captain's office. Actually, I believe that was the SWAT commander's office. The more I think about it, but either way, Gotham doesn't have the best relationship with the SWAT. Yes, okay, so in here is the lieutenant's office. That's right. Yes. Yes, we've got evidence lockup. Yeah, see, this was very, it's a great little experience, me going back and rediscovering all these things that I built. And we've got the little CSI lab over here. Very underfunded CSI lab, but we've got one. We've got a small CSI lab over here. Lots of paperwork everywhere. Lots of files of records and evidence. And then way down here in the basement, we've got the interrogation room. And this was fun. So I used Secret Mod to create, and Secret Mod provides a lot of really cool, like, spy-ish blocks, including one-way mirrors. One-way windows or two-way mirrors or whatever the official name is. I don't know if it's a one-way mirror or a two-way mirror. I don't really care. The point is, the mirrored window that you use in interrogation rooms, here it is. Here it is. This was a fun little space to design. I was very happy with the way this came out. Very happy. It's not major crimes. It's not the GCPD HQ. It's none of the, like, super important, well-funded sections of the GCPD, but it's just as important as all the rest because it is the center of policing on Park Row Island, which is saying more than most, saying significantly more than most. So how about we go ahead and check some more of these spaces? But yeah, as you can see, a lot of the architecture changed and was reformed and took on a bit of a life of its own, really. It's a bit of a mishmash of styles, only because this is such an old section of Gotham. This would be one of the oldest sections of Gotham. So you're going to get a whole bunch of different styles here. But here, this is a very important building. We've got the Cyrus Pinckney Elementary and Middle School, or the Silas Elementary, Pinckney, and Middle School, depending on how you read the signs. But this elementary and middle school in the Gotham Unified School Districts is dedicated to Cyrus Pinckney, the architect responsible for building many of the opulent and most monumental buildings in Gotham City. So here we go. I use the filing cabinets as lockers. We've got a bunch of tight little tiny classrooms for everyone to pile into. It's not a well-funded section. It's not at all a well-funded section of the city. Certainly not a well-funded section of the school district. But it's important because I have to think of all the different things. Okay, well, what about the children who live in this part of town? They still need a school to go to. Whether or not they go to the school, I can't really say. But they need a school to go to. They still need something. Now, this was an invention of my own little addition to the Gotham mythos. Night Post is the newspaper specifically printed in the Narrows. This is not a real newspaper. This isn't even a real Gotham newspaper for for canon and everything. This is something I specifically went ahead and decided I wanted to add in as a hyperlocal newspaper, distributed basically exclusively to the Narrows itself. This is a little restaurant over here. It's got a full kitchen. Little restaurant, nice little quiet restaurant over there. But this was my own little inclusion. This was before I got very familiar with custom signs in Bibliocraft. And you'll see more of the custom signs here momentarily. But this was way before I got super familiar with custom signage and custom sign design. This was the closest I could get, and I needed to create a name that could fit on a sign this size, that would fit within the lettering requirements that I needed it. So I came up with Night Post, and you know what? It fits the overall Gotham aesthetic. You know, it fits the overall theme. It is Gotham City. It's going to be night, as in soldier. We've got some more townhomes over here, or brownstones, although the stones aren't technically brown. Brownstone is a type of building, not necessarily what the building material itself is, but still, it's it's a whole thing. I could go on about that for way too long. Again, we've got some more townhomes here. Let me go ahead and actually look in on this. Yeah, another townhome. The difference between a townhome and an apartment is that a townhome is multi-stories. For those who are not particularly familiar with the different architectural terms, a townhome is a type of home that is a small multi-story home. I, in fact, lived in a townhome for a good portion of my life, longer than any of the other places I've lived. My family, we lived in a townhome. It was a nice place. It's California, you know. You take the space that you can get. Obviously, it's gonna be a little tight, but it was a nice place. It was a nice home. And our landlord was extremely gracious. They could have done so much better. They could have raised the rent so much, and they were very, very kind, very kind to us. Another apartment building over here. But this building here, this grayish building here, this was one that I designed once I had gotten into university. Once I'd gotten into university and started learning more about the architectural history of different things, this was an important building for me to design. Okay, so this is one home. This is one home that takes up a significant portion of the city block. And has two entrances. It has, and the reason being is that this is something that a lot of Gilded Age, robber baron types, if you want to call them robber barons. I don't really necessarily think. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. Whatever you think of the industrialists of the late 19th, early 20th century, the common term used is robber barons. So I'm just going to use the common term because it's easiest to go with. There were many robber barons who would go and they would build these beautiful, opulent homes in major metropolitan areas, and they wouldn't build them super tall. They would build them super long, so that and they would build them at the corners of streets for the express purpose of being able to claim that they have an address on one street, even though the main entrance was the other street. It was a very clever way to go about it, because especially, let's take New York for an example. Especially a place like New York. Say you want a Broadway address. Well, Broadway it has very limited build space. Even at the time, Broadway would have had extremely limited build space. Okay, so how about you build a house whose length is matched to a street connecting to Broadway, but whose address is facing Broadway. So you can claim you have a Broadway address. It was a very smart, very clever, more than smart. It was a clever workaround for a lot of the wants of the wants and the whims of these robber barons that architects would have to come in and find feasible ways of doing, and then hand off to engineers and site managers and be like, well, good luck, guys. I was screwed trying to design this thing, so good luck. I hope this works. But this is the home of, I haven't decided who, but this is the home of one of the heads of the different Gotham crime families. This is not the home of the Falcones or the Falcones or however you want to put it. This is not their home. No, they need something much more opulent. I'll design theirs later. I haven't gotten to theirs yet. But this is one of the more opulent homes. It's got 2 entrances, 2 different sides of the street, making it easier in the event of something happening. It requires the police to expend more resources to cover both entrances. Very smart move. Multiple stories here. And then the top floor has a massive skylight. There's nothing up here right now because I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this top space. It's not going to be bedroom space. It's not going to be anything like that. I'm thinking maybe a rooftop garden, a rooftop greenhouse rather, because a garden would be open air. A rooftop greenhouse space would be nice. Maybe like a little bit of an event space up here. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But it was a lot of fun to design this. I got really, really detailed about, for the time, I got really detailed about all the different spaces. Each of the bedroom spaces are 2 block thick, so that the interior paint is different than the exterior paint. It took up a lot of space. It was crunching the numbers for the exact spaces for each of these. For each of these different rooms was interesting. Was a very interesting experiment. But this is the master bedroom, and you can tell because it has a bathroom connected to it. This is the master bedroom. There's no window because this was while I was still trying to figure out, okay, how do I want the windows? No mirror. How do I want the mirrors to work? So eventually I'll come back and I'll put a mirror in here. And now that I've set it on stream, I better remember it. Excuse me, no time to press the cough button. But this is the master bedroom. The bed even has like a giant frame to it and everything. It's got a nice view. A nice view of actually I'm kind of proud of that view. That is a nice view. Of some of the nicer buildings in this part of the city. But this is the home of one of the crime families. Not the most influential crime families for sure, but one of the crime families that has a bit of a stranglehold on this part of town, on the Narrows specifically. See, you talk about the Falcones or the Maronis or let's see, even the Valestras. If you want to take Batman the Animated Series in, you're talking a more widespread organization. You're talking a more citywide organization, a more affluent organization rather. You're not necessarily region specific. Now, this would be the home of a crime family that is largely located exclusively in the Narrows and has made deals and pacts with the other crime families. You don't infringe upon the Narrows, and we will not expand our businesses outside of this island. It is a small island. Leave the small island to us because it's our territory. All that kind of stuff. Very civil in the way I've described it, but that's because, you play into the myth of the mafia, not necessarily its reality. This was a fun building to design only because it was an odd shape and because it doesn't take it creates a little bit of a break here in the city block. Other than that, kind of hell to go ahead and design the interior of, because I have to think about the second layer block interior. Kind of annoying, not super fun. of an interior, but the exterior was a whole lot of fun to do. A whole lot of fun to do. This is a hotel, by the way. This is not an apartment building. This is a hotel. Each of the hotel rooms, very sparse. A bed, a table. It fits the required function of hotel. Nothing too fancy. Nothing too fancy. But again, you're in the Narrows. You shouldn't expect the fanciest thing. You shouldn't expect the fanciest buildings out there. So, we are an hour and 17 minutes in. I better ramp this up a little bit, or we are going to go way over 3 hours. And as much as I'd like to, I don't know how much I can afford to go too far over 3 hours here. So down here we get less dense buildings. We get a couple of public public spaces here. Some nice little public parks that are more recent additions, or if not recent additions, they are more recently being taken care of. And this here is the Narrows Orphanage. This was a tough thing for me to build. I wanted it to be taken seriously. I wanted it of anywhere that's going to be taken care of. If anywhere in the Narrows that's going to be taken care of, and actually not infringed upon by the mob, I thought, you know what? The orphanage. You know, the rule: don't mess with family, don't mess with kids, leave them alone. So if there's anything that would be handled well, yes, there's ivy on the walls, not because it's dilapidated, but because it's an older building. It would be the orphanage. So again, one of the nicer buildings in the Narrows for sure. We've got a nice little foyer. Not a foyer. A foyer would be more opulent. This is a foyer. We've got the hallway system. I've mentally I color coded all the different types of spaces for these different buildings. For instance, the foyer is one color, and then you enter into any of the hallway spaces in this building, and you're going to get the cream white. You enter into the stairwells, you're going to get the cream brown. Or I guess technically it's light gray stained clay, I know, but like the cream brown, and then you're back into hallway spaces. And then you're into utility spaces, and they have different colors depending on the kind of utility we're talking about. And then you get the kitchens, which are the stark, bright, sterile colors. For any of the little design elements that I've put in here. And then the very top floor, oh wait, is this not the orphanage? This might. No, it isn't. Actually, this isn't the orphanage. This is I'm very sorry. I went on the whole tangent about the orphanages, and all the things I've said are true about the orphanage, but this isn't the orphanage. This is a competing crime family's home. This is a competing crime family's home. That's why it's got a significantly more space. Oh, that's right. There's not a fourth floor. Man, that's a little bit embarrassing, but you know. You build something for 6 years, you get a few details wrong now and then. You get a few details wrong. That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. I'm sure someone will clip it. But yes, this is a competing family's estate. Now, before I go ahead and handle this, because this is what happens in Minecraft 1.7.10 when you have a lot of built spaces and a lot of resources that need to be used. We'll get back to this space momentarily. What we're next going to do is we're going to go over and check out this space. This was one of the sections of the city that I was like, man, I really have no idea what I'm going to build over here. I don't want to build another apartment. I don't want to build an office space. I don't want to do that. What am I going to build over here? And so what I ended up building was we've got the fire station. Or rather, is this a warehouse space? Yeah, this is the fire. This is the fire station here. We've got the fire station down here. Actually, no, this isn't the fire station. This is one of the warehouse spaces. So yeah, we've got a bunch of warehouse space. Again, 6 years. 6 years, man. 6 years goes by. We've got a couple warehouses down here. We've got a steel processing plant right here, which actually has a bunch of steel being iron being processed right now. If you know about the mod Tinker's Construct, one of the best mods, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best mods in Minecraft, Tinker's Construct. All of this is actual molten iron that is being processed into all of these casting bins. Yeah, nice big steel processing place. Nothing, too fancy for it. And then I came to this space and I was like, I don't want to build anything here, so how about I build a build site? So I'm kind of unbuilding a space. It was a lot of fun to design. It was a lot of fun to design this construction space. You see, you get the appearance of, okay, this is where utilities and sewage and everything comes through. This is the foundation that they're designing. They're gonna need to move a lot of these supplies down here so that they can go ahead and reattach this. They can go ahead and actually attach the two ends of the utilities and sewage line before they fill in or do whatever they're gonna do with the rest of this sub level before they build the entire building. This was a whole lot of fun to do. That's of the different set pieces that aren't like specific named buildings, this is one of my favorite. Only because it was a creative way to not build a building. It was a creative way to get around building a building. Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. Okay. So I will have to go ahead and reload the map once we get over to that space. Well, realistically, I don't necessarily. So this building here, I won't be able to show you the interior right now only because of chunk issues, and if I reload the map, then we're going to be standing here for like 5 minutes waiting for the map to load, and I'd rather not do that to you guys. This right here is the Park Row Opera House. Or rather, here. This is the Park Row Opera House. The Opera House, because at one point in time, when Gotham was young, when it was the late 19th, early 20th centuries, this section of Gotham was the home of the elites. Before they built their opulent palisades, before they expanded into their rapidly, before the Industrial Revolution really brought them into brand new heights, this was the center of high life in Gotham, which is why many of the oldest buildings are still standing here. So they had their own opera house. Now the opera house has recently been renovated, and there are attempts to go ahead and rejuvenate the arts, partially because of gentrification, but partially because of philanthropic donations from individuals much like Bruce Wayne, who's going in and trying to preserve many of the historic buildings in Park Row. But more important than that, this is you may have gotten a little bit of a taste of it there. The building standing right behind my character here is the most important building in Gotham City, barring literally Wayne Manor. It is the most important location. I would argue more important than Arkham Asylum. This is the most important location in Gotham City. Standing behind me is the Monarch Theater. For those of you who are not massive into Batman like I am, or for those of you who might be watching who don't know, Monarch Theater is the place whose alleyway that Thomas and Martha Wayne would be shot and killed. Just after taking Bruce to go ahead and watch one of the most influential movies of his childhood, The Mark of Zorro, starring Tyrone Powers, I forget. It's a black and white classic. It's a great movie. Like, it's a real movie. It's a great movie. But this is the theater that it was shown in. And this was back when publicly the Narrows, Park Row, because in comics, Park Row is a street that is nicknamed Crime Alley. Whereas in this, as well as in the Christopher Nolan movies, which is the reason I built the Narrows in the first place, Park Row is a section of town. It's not, a street. It's a whole district. But when the public face of Park Row was still, oh, we're on the mend, we're doing well, whatever. It was assumed that it would be safe to come to this movie theater if you were literally the richest people in the city. It was assumed it would be safe. Ended up not being so. Most important building, other than Wayne Manor. I would argue maybe more important, depending on what you're going for. I didn't mean to take that screenshot. I'll have to delete that later. But this was a lot of fun for me to design because I got to play around a lot more with Bibliocraft. I became intimately familiar with Bibliocraft's custom paintings options, and I imported a bunch of I imported lettering that I had to custom make. I had to find the specific font I wanted. I had to go in and create an individual painting for each letter of the alphabet in whatever font, whatever color I was looking for. I spent like a couple days doing just that, and then importing it all into the mod pack, alongside all of these awesome paintings that are movie posters that are like 40s, 50s, and 60s films that really feed into the noir feeling of Gotham City. So we've got Some Like It Hot. This is a great movie. If you haven't seen Some Like It Hot, it is a hilarious movie. It is an amazing movie. Everyone should watch Some Like It Hot. Some people will say, "Ooh, isn't this proof that certain social things have always been?" No, it's just a funny movie. Just watch the movie. It's a really funny movie. Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon are classics. They are amazing comedians. Les Miserables, except this would have been one of the time, a great drama. Ben-Hur, one of my favorite movies. Like, being completely honest, one of my favorite movies. Both because, of course, I'm a Christian and I love well-made religious films, but also this was a monument. This was an absolute monumental task to make this movie. It is such a good movie. Everyone should watch it. Yeah, you're gonna think some of the acting is cheesing. You're gonna think some of the effects don't hold up, but a surprising amount of it holds up perfectly. This is an amazing movie. Go watch it. It's just it's so good. Yeah, it's 3 hours and 40 minutes long. Watch it in pieces, whatever. Watch the movie. Just watch the movie. If Oppenheimer can make $1 billion at the box office and be over 3 hours long, watch Ben-Hur. Just watch Ben-Hur. Citizen Kane, another classic. Everyone should watch it. I mean, it's the film school sort of. Ooh, everyone's got to watch these movies. Of course you have to. But it's a great movie. It is genuine. It deserves the hype. It is genuinely a great movie, and I think now more than ever, it's pretty pertinent. It's pretty important to the media landscape that we have today. I'll put it that way. Be semi-vague. Humphrey Bogart's Sirocco, along with Casablanca, which is right next to it, and really almost any Humphrey Bogart movie. Go watch them. They're great movies. Casablanca was one of the first black and white movies I saw. And it is a classic. It is a great pulpy noir. It's not exactly a noir and it's not exactly a pulp, but it's really good. It's really good. I don't ever want them to touch it. I don't want them ever to I never want them to go ahead and mess with it. Now, interestingly enough, the poster for Sirocco says Beyond Casablanca. It's been so long, I don't remember if Sirocco is actually a sequel to Casablanca. I don't think it is. I think it's just like, ooh, remember how good Casablanca was? Well, Beyond Casablanca is Sirocco or something. It's been so long since I've seen Sirocco. I need to go back and watch it. But I do remember really enjoying it. Yeah, really good stuff. And then over on the other end, I know it's an hour and a half in. We've got 3 hours today. What am I doing? We've got Boris Karloff's The Man with Nine Lives, a classic early film, horror film. The Count of Monte Cristo, because there has to be one of the versions of The Count of Monte Cristo. Not my favorite. My favorite is the 2002 Count of Monte Cristo. I think it's 2002. Yeah. But yeah, you gotta go. You have to. Alexandre Dumas is, yeah. I mean, it says Alexandre Dumas' immortal classic. It's such a good book. Read the book. Watch any of the versions of the movie. It's wonderful. And then the Errol Flynn Robin Hood. You have to. You make a city and a movie theater based off of the 40s, the 20s, 30s, and 40s aesthetic. You got to put in Errol Flynn's Robin Hood. You just have to. It's an absolute classic. Also, Robin is inspired by Robin Hood to get his name, and Green Arrow is inspired by Robin Hood to do what he does. The difference being Robin Hood stole from tax collectors to return the taxed money to the British people, and Green Arrow is a rich socialist. That's a discussion for another time, but it's true. One of the things that Arrow did better than the Green Arrow comics is that Arrow, Oliver Queen in the Arrow show, is not a socialist. We'll get into that later. We've got the horror of Dracula, which is specifically the Christopher Lee Dracula film, because again, 30s, 40s aesthetic, you gotta go with a Dracula movie. It's Gotham City. You gotta have a Batman movie and a Robin movie that aren't actually a Batman movie and a Robin movie. You gotta do it. And it's Christopher Lee, man. It is the Christopher Lee role. It's what makes you think of Christopher Lee. That, or Count Dooku, or Saruman the White, whatever. Great movies. Go watch them. Every movie that I'm showing you here that's a real movie, I've gone ahead and watched, and they're all great. Watch them. They're old, yeah, get used to it. Most good things are older than what we currently have. We'll get back to the Grey Ghost. We've got The Mark of Zorro, once again, another Mark of Zorro, another little bit of Mark of Zorro stuff. So right up there, The Mark of Zorro, starring Tyrone Power. It's really good. My personal favorite Zorro movie is The Mask of Zorro, or I believe it's The Mask of Zorro. Is it The Mask of Zorro or The Mark of Zorro? It's the Antonio Banderas first one. The second one is garbage. The first one with Antonio Banderas and why am I forgetting his name? He played Odin. He was in Silence of the Lambs. Why am I forgetting his name? You know what I'm thinking about. The first Antonio Banderas Zorro movie, I think it's currently, no, the second one is currently on Netflix here in the US. You can find it. It's not difficult to find. Great movie. My favorite version, for sure, of the Zorro movies. But this is a classic. You have to watch it. You gotta watch it. It's a classic. Zorro was really one of the precursors of the idea of a superhero. And in terms of the history of Batman, Zorro, Dracula, and the Shadow were intimate and integral portions of pop culture in the 30s and 40s, in the mid late 30s, to develop the character of Batman. Without Zorro, Dracula, and the Shadow, Batman wouldn't. Well, of course, because of Bill Finger checking Bob Kane in. Hey, how about we don't do a dude in red and green spandex with wings? On top of the checking bit, they also went and pulled a lot of their inspiration from these pieces of media. So you have to do it. And then the Gray Ghost, Simon Trent, Shirley Patterson, and George Paralat. Yeah, I'll just say George Paralat. The Gray Ghost. This isn't a real thing. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who are not familiar with Batman the Animated Series, the Gray Ghost was a serialized show that Bruce watched as a kid, and the Gray Ghost himself, Simon Trent, was voiced by Adam West. It's a great episode. Go watch it. It's called Beware the Gray Ghost. Go watch the episode. Probably the best episode. Well, I don't know about the best. It's my favorite episode of Batman the Animated Series, bar none, because it is the two most influential generations of Batman coming together out of respect for each other. At the time, Adam West was going through massive financial trouble. Watch the Adam West documentary. Also, it's amazing. And one of the things that the creators of the animated series did is, after they had Adam West come in and voice his lines, they gave him a check that was way above standard rate that was way above union standard for voice acting. Gave him a check for, I believe it was $80,000 in 1992, which is a ton of money, and it was absolutely amazing for Adam West, who was in a ton of financial trouble. And they also gave him one of the original screen-used bat suits from the 60s show. Now, at a time, Adam West had one of his own, of course, because, he worked on the show for 3 years. It was one of the biggest shows on television for 3 years. It was a whole thing. But because of lots of financial trouble and bad financial decisions, he had to get rid of it. But it was either Alan Burnett or it was Paul Dini who had bought one of the screen used bat suits at auction for, and I quote, an amount of money. He was never going to tell Adam West how much it cost, because what was important is that he could gift Adam West his bat suit. And it's such a nice, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think about it, and it's really tough for me sometimes, thinking that the two most important, I would argue, the two most important Batmen are no longer with us. And they left too early. They left way too early. But yeah, this is for him. This is for Adam West. This little Gray Ghost bit. This and one other thing that hopefully we have the time to get to. But this is the Monarch Theater. It's not particularly impressive on the interior. There's 3 screen rooms, or there's 3 projection rooms rather. And then the upstairs has the offices for Monarch Theater. Any of the administration that needs to be done. From the interior, you can actually get to the ticket booth out here. This is the little ticket booth, You get the aesthetic of, oh yeah, you go to the ticket booth. The ticket booth is outside the theater. You go in the theater, you get the snacks, you go to the movie, the whole deal. The whole deal. Let me take a swig of water here. I've been talking and my throat's getting dry. Oh, okay. Okay, there we go. Ooh, okay. But what's more important than the interior of Monarch Theater is its exterior. Specifically, this exterior. Now, I don't have a custom painting that I can place on the ground. I wish I could place ground paintings. That's not something that Bibliocraft lets you do. But this is the alleyway. This is where it all happened. This is where an 8-year-old Bruce Wayne lost his parents and swore over the bodies of his parents. He swore vengeance on the men who did this. He swore vengeance on the idea of crime in Gotham City, and completely changed the trajectory of Gotham City and his own life for the rest of history. This is where it happened. This is the origin of my favorite and one of the 3 most important superheroes of all time. That, of course, being Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man. You may argue that you prefer characters like Iron Man or Captain America or whatever, whether because of comics or because of movies, but the 3 most influential superheroes in all of history are Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man. Not necessarily in that order. You know, different ones take top spot at different times depending on what's going on and what cultures we're talking about or whatever it happens to be. For instance, South America loves Spider-Man. I don't know what it is, but South America is obsessed with Spider-Man over any of the other superheroes. But it's those 3. They're the big 3. And this is where it happened. This is where it happened all the way back in... Oh man, was that Detective Comics? Was that in the Detective Comics 30s or Detective Comics 40s? And I don't mean like the 1930s or 1940s, because by the time you get into the numbering Detective Comics number 40s-ish area, you get into 1940 anyway. I think it was Detective Comics, somewhere between Detective Comics 30 and 39 is where we get the origin story, the official origin story that remains to this day. And that's Monarch Theater. Okay, so we got a few more things to do, and a few more important things to do. We're gonna check out this building over here. Now, if you hadn't already seen this island, for those of you who are a little bit more in tune with Batman media, for those of you who haven't seen this island, you might think, "Ooh, I wonder what this building is," and you would be partially correct. So, before we get to the secondary island over there, what I want to say is, in my imagining of Gotham City, for a long time, Arkham Island was the only Arkham property that existed. And later, due to public concerns about safety and about safety as well as the public image of Gotham City in the use of Arkham Asylum, they constructed Arkham Home for the Emotionally Unstable, which is what this building is. It's very PC. It's very, it's very public friendly. It's very voter friendly. It's very, of its time. It's designed with the goal of being as PC and as much of a joke as it possibly can be. This is Arkham Home for the Emotionally Unstable, or the Emotionally Troubled, or however you want to put it. Emotionally Troubled sounds a little bit more PC, which is what I was going for. But this is it. Nice open spaces, massive waiting room, big reception. Although, of course, the receptionists still like to slack off sometimes and play a bit of Minecraft. I don't blame them. You've got patient records, which have very low security. This is a very low security looking building to the public, at the very least. The public face of Arkham Home for the Emotionally Troubled is very low security. Over here, we've got the kitchen, which is a massive, beautiful kitchen space. I love this kitchen space. I want this kitchen space. Massive, beautiful, industrial-sized kitchen space. We've got lots of storage here for a bunch of ingredients, and then back here we've got storage for different medical storage, because this is a mental hospital. There is a hospital aspect alongside the mental aspect. So they've got lots of extra things: EKG machines, IV stands, extra utilities, or I guess chemistry sets or whatever. Here we go. This looks very Fallout 3 in New Vegas. This chemistry set here. I wonder if that's part of the design that went into it when the creators of the why am I forgetting the name of the mod? When the creators of DecoCraft went ahead and made this, I wonder if they're like, hey, we want to do an homage to one of our favorite games or whatever it is. And of course, plenty of extra wheelchairs for patients being transported in between surgeries or being discharged. Plenty of extra space. Across the way from the kitchens, we've got the dining hall. Nice big open dining hall for all the different patients here at Arkham Home for the Emotionally Troubled. Across the way, over on this end, we have, I believe this is the gym. This is an older design for my treadmills, but they're working treadmills. You can stand on them, and you actually have to try to walk on them, or the conveyor belt below will push you away. It was a lot of fun to design, a lot of fun to do. We've got massive benches to go ahead and bench press, which again, I've worked on this design. I've modified things. I've made things better as I go. And then TVs to watch things on. And then right next to it is a nice little recreation space. Lots of books to read, a big TV to watch things on, whether it's, whatever the show happens to be. And a couple of pool tables. Lots of things for these for the people staying there to enjoy. And across from there is a modest but nice pool space and lots of locker space. On the upstairs from this once we reach the second floor up here, we enter into, first over here, the offices. And the offices, which they don't have doors for safety reasons. They don't have doors. Apologies. Look again. Apologies. Very, very long day. They don't have doors for safety reasons. But these office spaces that many of the visiting, not permanent, many of the visiting psychiatrists and therapists can come and sit down with their clients in comfortable environments, all that kind of stuff. Now across the way from here, nope, we'll get to that last. From here, you go into the different sleeping quarters for our patients here. Now you might think this looks rather barbaric in certain degrees, and I could understand that. However, each of these are clean, sterile environments that allows complete visibility both for the patient and for any staff that prevents the patient from potentially harming themselves. Or causing issues for other cellmates or for faculty. Wide open viewing. Plenty of wide open viewing spaces in all these different cells, and lots of light that comes in throughout the day if they happen to be detained for any behavioral issues. Across from here, of course, we get into this section is for the more unstable patients, let us say, the less than stable patients. These are not permanent sleeping quarters by any means. I'm doing the whole if you couldn't tell, I'm doing the whole corpo speak, the whole PC spiel here. These are by no means permanent holding spaces. These are essentially padded rooms designed for the safe detainment of rowdier patients, of less man, it sounds so stupid me saying all this, of less than cooperative patients. They can't. There's not a whole lot for them to do. It's basically a super padded cell. They can't really hurt themselves or whatever. They're gonna be detained however they need to be. A bunch of spaces here. Now these are not often used. These are simply here out of necessity. Now, of course, here we are on the other end, on the other side of the building, with more of our comfortable and safe living quarters, and more of our office spaces here. More of our temporary office spaces, because again, they cycle through. They go from here to Arkham Island, and they've got a bunch of other work that they have to do. Now, at the center of this space, very important, very fun for me to design. At the center of this space is still Gotham City, and this is still Arkham. Okay, they're going to be as PC as they can, and they would never show any public member. They would never show any member of the press or any member of the general public this space, but occasionally they have to take the law and science into their own hands and do some less than ethical things, like for instance, use an electric chair. Man, this is so much fun to build. This is I could not keep myself from. I was basically dying the entire time I was designing this, because I was designing this and I was streaming it to some friends over Discord, and this was the funniest thing. This was the funniest thing for me to build, man. This was so stupid. This was the I'm going to prison for this kind of thing. It was hilarious. And once everyone's safe and secure, we've got the big lever you pull, and it does the electric thing. And then you pull it, and then you flip it back up, and it's good. And it's cool. It's not actually functional because, dear God, first and foremost, I shouldn't ever. And second, that's just not something I could really feasibly do. But there you go. You get in, you get out. Electroshock therapy, the most effective form of therapy known to Gotham City psychiatrists since the mid 19th century. And then up here you have the hospital wing over here. They don't have individual hospital rooms, but they do have plenty of dividers for sterilization and for privacy. These are completely functional spaces. Any operations that need to be performed do have to be performed in the space. So, there's not a ton of privacy that can be gained, but there's plenty. There's enough privacy that the patient will not be completely. The patient will not be completely exposed to the elements or to their fellow patients here. Now, this is Arkham Home for the emotionally troubled. This is the PC Arkham. This is the very safe, very secure, very sterile Arkham. But come on, when you want to see Arkham, you don't want to see the safe, secure, sterile Arkham. You want to see real Arkham. You want to see Arkham Asylum. Warning: hitchhikers may be escaping patients. Well, on one of my replays, I want to say 2, maybe 2.5 years ago. No, we're close. Yeah, we're talking what? Late 2020, early 2021. So 4 years ago, almost. 3.5, 4 years ago, something like that. I went ahead and decided, this would be so much fun to put in. It'd be so much fun to put this into the actual map, because I had first built this building and thought that was plenty, and then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what? No, there needs to be, because if Arkham Asylum is that safe and secure, how is there ever any escape that's being made? No, we need a more opulent, we need a more grandiose Arkham Asylum. So I just took a page right out of the Rocksteady handbook and made Arkham Island, proper Arkham Island. So Arkham Asylum, hitchhikers may be escaping patients. Got a nice big bridge that was so much fun to design. This is one of the most mathematically challenging things I did in this game, and probably one of the only things that I really needed to use. Apologies. One of the only things I needed to use mid-tier math for, really, in my day-to-day life. So I am going to go ahead and reload here, only because I don't like the big black line pulling through with broken chunks. We are going to reload here. We are just about 2 hours in, so I really have to go ahead and speed things along here, but we've got enough time. We've got just enough time to get things by. I hope everyone has been enjoying this so far. It means the world to me that you guys would watch, especially for 100 episodes. I'm certainly enjoying this. This is if I had one passion in my life, if I could choose one thing and say this is my passion project, out of all the different passion projects I have, if I could choose just one, it would be this Gotham City map. My favorite map. The most important thing I've built in, the most important thing I've worked on in a very, very long time, and that I continue to work on when I have the opportunity. Granted, it has been about 5 months since I've had any time to work on this. But if you guys enjoy it, let me know. I can do more of this. I can absolutely do more of this if you enjoy it. But that should be plenty of time loading everything in so far. So here we go, Arkham Asylum, the big wrought iron gate, which eventually I'll come back in and I'll do a better signage. I'll do some better signage here. I'll do something. Maybe find a way to go ahead and delete the white background. I don't know. I'll do something. It'll be nice. But this is a nice little placeholder for now. It's the right font, it's that Gothic Art Deco. Well, it's one or the other. It's either Gothic or Art Deco. Art Deco, definitely more Art Deco lettering. Yeah, it's not Gothic lettering. This is the nice little Art Deco lettering in these nice Gothic wrought iron wall. This nice Gothic wrought iron fence, which travels across the majority of the island. The breaks are because if you tried to escape through any of these higher places, and this wasn't Minecraft physics, if this was regular physics, you would break all of the bones in your body when you hit the water. They don't have to particularly worry too much about it. But it also provides little tiny spaces where perhaps maybe it's because of certain security oversights that a lot of the patients can escape on a semi-regular basis. But here we go. Right here, as denoted by all the different signs, we've got the guard barracks for any of the on-duty guards who have multiple shifts they have to pull before they leave, and then they've got like a week or so off, and then they come back and all that kind of stuff. Guard barracks, it's got enough space for them to go ahead and sleep, and all of their armaments and their defensive measures are taken care of. Lots of seating for them to do whatever paperwork they need, but it's also temporary spaces. This is not a permanently assigned space, and purely because they've got so many people moving in and out all the time. Elevator up, and here we go. We've got a little bit of workout space here. We've got some more recreation spaces, and then all of the bunks for all of the on-duty guards. All of their gear. Well, all their riot gear specifically. And then a nice balcony space that allows them to see a portion of what's going on. 4 balcony spaces so that even here from the guard barracks, they can keep an eye on what's going on. We've got little guard posts dotted around the island. I took the style of the guard posts directly from the Arkham games. Just so that it was, it's a familiar sight to see. A very familiar sight to see. And for anyone who would eventually, possibly ever be playing on this map, they could enjoy the nice little physical reference. We've also got these these essentially these are the data relays. These are the several different security relays for the island, so that there's not just one. You've got redundancy. You've got, I believe there's 3 on the island here. We got redundancy, so if one set of servers drops, all the data can be moved over to the other, all that kind of stuff. An inmate would have to coordinate an escape would have to coordinate an escape over months and months in order to go ahead and actually deal with all of the different database systems. So, from this centralized section here, we have Arkham Manor, which is mostly, today is an administrative building, as well as a little bit of a museum for Arkham Asylum. You've got Cell Block A and Cell Block B. You've got the water treatment plant. You've got the medical center over here. You've got the power plant. You've got the lighthouse and the docks, and little pathways in between. You've got the graveyard for all of the inmates who die on grounds, because many who are sent to Arkham who aren't super criminals live out the rest of their sentences here. And if they cannot afford other graveyards, then the asylum goes ahead and takes care of it for them. The botanical gardens, which I loved designing the botanical gardens. And then this building right here. Any guess as to what this building is called? This is a giant pool, a giant recreational space that is mostly so that the public can see it and be like, oh, look at what all the great things that Arkham Asylum provides for its inmates. Can you take a guess as to what this big space is called? You take a guess as to what the official name of a designated house that has a designated building that has an interior pool is called. Can you take a guess? I'll give you 5 seconds, live and on the VOD. Okay. Submit your answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Submit your answer now, or forever hold your peace. This is called a natatorium. If I weren't an architecture student at the time that I was thinking about a lot of these things and working on a lot of these plans, I would not have known that a building designed to hold interior pools was called a natatorium. But it's a great name. That's such a cool name that means, yeah, it's a building with pools in it. It's a really cool name. So here we go. This is the natatorium. Called the inmate natatorium, and it looks like it would have plenty of space for, inmates in different shifts or whatever to go ahead and enjoy the pool. Realistically, the guards and the faculty end up using this space, but it's I'm, again, very happy with the design of everything, all of the colors, all the lighting, the aesthetics all fit. We've got the boys' lockers, we've got the girls' lockers, because this is a prison, and you don't need to inject any social politics into running a prison, or an asylum, whatever you want to call it. Home for the criminally insane, asylum for the criminally insane. You don't really need to inject social politics into criminal insanity because they're already bad enough. You don't need to worry about the rest of that stuff. So, here we go. We've got the power plant, which we don't need to tour the interior of. It's basically a big... the power station, rather. It's a big warehouse space that's got a massive turbine engine inside of it that goes ahead and generates power for the entire space. So, in the event that power drops for different sections of the city, Arkham still runs. The power station, we've got the water treatment plant, as well as sewer access underneath the water treatment plant, which we will very quickly go ahead and check out the sewer access. The sewer access, I had a lot of fun. I had a whole lot of fun designing sewer access because I got to try different brick palettes, matching and contrasting brick palettes here. And then as we enter in, another thing I took almost brick for brick from Arkham Asylum, because I loved that rundown sewer space where all of the all of the island's water sort of filtered in through here and then back out into different sections or whatever it was. The water treatment area, that was so much fun to design. I haven't done any more designing on this space other than this massive antechamber. But as I add to it, as I expand the different drainage sections, whatever it happens to be, I'll do more. But this is a great set piece. I love this as a set piece. And then we go all the way back up. Arkham Manor proper, which is a beautifully large building. One of, not the largest, but one of the largest buildings on this map for sure. One of the largest buildings. There's one of the largest. It's one of the largest non-residential spaces. I'll give them that. So we got the medical center. Here we've got the water treatment center. We've got cell blocks A and B. You can see right down there, cell block B. Cell block A. And then right back there, the lighthouse. Lots of great spaces. I wish I had time to tour everything. Again, we're 2 hours in. I only have 3 hours that I can spend today, and I wish that weren't the case, but it is. We've got the graveyard back here, where the gravestones will load in momentarily. There we go. Variety of different gravestones. And then the Botanical Gardens, which was a very fun building to design. Again, this is a recreational space. This is a calming space. And yes, if you were to jump off from here into the water, you would surely break all the bones in your body landing and then drown. So why would you need to build the fence higher than there? But this was a ton of fun to work on. The challenge of trying to get all the different tree sizes to really fit well in this space, that was a lot of fun. That was actually worth the effort. And then all the great domes with this beautiful greenhouse effect with the glass. It was a lot of fun. It was challenging, and it was horrendous to go ahead and individually place each of these blocks, because I couldn't world edit this because I built the structure before I built the domes. I should have built the domes before I built the structure, but oh well. I couldn't world edit this. I had to individually place each of those blocks. It was worth it. Realistically, it was worth it. It's a beautiful looking space. I'm very proud of it. I'm especially proud of the large central tree and this beautiful atrium. It was so much fun. So much fun to go ahead and work on all this. Man, it was worth it. It was really worth it for me. But beyond all of that, we have 2 more sections to go ahead and check out. Now we've got 50-ish minutes left. I'm going to show you what I've most recently been working on. Once I finished this section, I thought, okay, where do I go from here? I could start on one of the massive centralized islands, Uptown, Midtown, or rather, where is it? Yeah, Uptown, Midtown, or Downtown. Maybe I could start on Sandy Hook Island, which was named that before the tragedy. It's the name of the island. And maybe I could start on Sandy Hook Island. But I thought, no, let's work our way up, you know? Let's go smallest to largest islands. So I went with South Channel as the next island. And I decided for myself, you know what? South Channel is going to be the college town area of Gotham City, you know? It's gonna have the feel. It's gonna have all the amenities of a college town. It's gonna be lively, more youthful, more modern. It's a college town section, so I put Gotham State University right up here, which I'm not even close to done with. For scale, the entirety of this island fits like, if I remember doing the math correctly, it fits like 8 or 9 times into this island. So it's a massive step up in terms of the amount of space we have to build here. Yeah. So yeah, I clearly haven't filled everything out. I've done things in chunks. I first went ahead and sectioned out where I wanted the college to be, and then before building any buildings for the college, I went ahead and decided, okay, you know what? I want a beach. I want a beach, a little bit of a beachhead for the college town space, because that is one of the most Greek life things I could think of is, all the frats, all the sororities coming out, middle of finals week, and just setting up chairs, just hanging out at the beach. It was a great image in my head. So this is where we'll go next. We'll start down here. Negative 1666, negative 1753. Here we go. And nice. Okay. So here we go. So this whole line here, barring this building, this is a tiki bar. This here's a tiki bar. But the rest of these, beach houses, and rentals mostly. And then over here is one of the off-campus dormitories for Gotham State University. The only one I've currently built of the off-campus dormitories for Gotham State University. And then we've got more beach houses and rental properties over here. I live in a college town, so I see lots of rental properties all the time. We've got a more suburban city block over here. These are all single-family homes, very large single-family homes. These were very fun to design. I don't have time to show you guys everything, so how about we go ahead and fly around portions of it here. So this really fun beachfront dorm building. Really fun, really nice stuff here. All the interiors are dorm interiors. So you've got the beds with desks underneath them, and a little couch space, maybe a fridge, TV, the whole deal. This is one entire dorm space. And it's like that across the entire building. And then all of these suburban houses were very fun for me to figure out the geometry of the different houses and how all of the roofs were going to connect and how all the interiors had to make enough sense and look good enough for the space, very early aughts, late 90s, early aughts, and a lot of its design. Weird semi-open floor plans, the very bright colors. I did go for the double wall thickness on these because I wanted a complementary but slightly different interior color from the exterior. Like, this feels like the family home like, this feels like a friend's house I would visit. This feels like a friend's house to me. I once lived once for about 3 years. It was my grandparents' house. My family, we went ahead and lived in it, and it's my favorite place on planet Earth. But I don't have, I don't live there now, and I didn't live there very long in the grand scheme of things. But so most of my experience with these larger homes was through friends and through other family members. Lots of space for these homes. I need to build more of these in this part of town, only to fill out some of the space. But a massive city block that's essentially a bunch of these houses, and a big garage as well. You gotta have a garage, and then there you go. 2 entrances to the garage. Of course, the garage door that works. Thank you, DecoCraft. And then, just a bunch of those, and so many modern buildings, with a couple of older buildings sprinkled in here or there, but so many just standardized copy-paste modern buildings that function and that look, modern and I mean, modern is kind of the prime term I use here. They look, updated and how do I put this? The idea is that they appeal to a more youthful crowd. They appeal to a younger audience. They appeal to the, college, just graduating college, maybe early 30s crowd. They want a more youthful feel to everything before they settle down with something like, the suburban areas and stuff like that. Now this building, in fact, this whole little block here is based off of Grand Theft Auto. In fact, if you go down to the Del Perro Pier, you will see this, specifically this angle of buildings. You will walk up, it's beachfront. You will see this. You'll see this beachfront like t-shirt shop that's closed and you can't get into. You will see this. You'll see this bar with this bar and restaurant with rooftop service. You will see these buildings, which are apartment buildings and shops all across this line. And if you turn the corner on that street, you will go down here and you'll see this. This is a club. You'll see this club. You'll see this. You'll see this apartment building. And if you turn the corner again, farther down the street, you will see this pair of buildings, which is a rather recognizable section of the GTA map for one reason or another. And it wraps all the way back around. And internally, I had to design the internal courtyard space on my own, and the internal garage space for these cars to come in through. I had a lot of fun doing that, only because I hadn't really had to sort of math that out before. I didn't really have to work it out on paper before. But yeah, this is currently my only little homage so far to GTA 5. Because if there's any open world space that really nailed the aesthetics of a functioning open world, it's GTA. We've got a parking lot here, and in here, this is like a modern, some sort of modern office space. The reds and blacks on the outside, and then just flipping, the complete opposite colors. You've got the blues, or I guess the cyans, the blues and the whites, the very calming, the happy, the bright, with the oppressive, darker exterior to things. I found it to be a very funny contrast, only because, it reminded me of the building I took my architecture classes in. Well, the interior did. The exterior, architecture and I didn't have a great break, so I wanted to treat it like I felt it deserved at the time, and a little bit still do today. So this is the platonic the platonic state of the platonic ideal, as it were. This is the platonic ideal of a car dealership. That's what I was looking for. This is the platonic ideal of a car dealership. Big open space, couches, and coffee tables, a reception, and office spaces that deliberately do not have doors because the different salesmen borrow each other's offices at different times. And then outside, a big courtyard to put with a bunch of cars in it. This is a car dealership. I thought it was clever at the time. I still enjoy the fact that I built it. But it was not the most ambitious thing I built in this section of the city. The most ambitious thing I built in this section, barring, of course, the college buildings, which we'll get to, most ambitious thing I built here was this apartment building. The 12B apartment building. This was a lot of fun to design. Okay? So it's based off of, but not a direct copy, of a real apartment building, of a real apartment building that I have seen many pictures of, and almost rented from at one time. What I did is I went online. I I went online. I found all the different floor plans that they offer. Not all of them, of course, are available at every time. But I having driven past this building so many times, I thought, I want to build this. I want this to be part of the college town area in Gotham City. I want a nice reference that only very few people would actually get if they don't watch this or if they don't know what I'm talking about. A nice reference, a nice little reference. Like an actual physical world reference to run off of. So I knew what the exterior needed to look like. What I needed to know the layout of all of the different actual interior apartment spaces, so that I could properly lay down each of these apartments in exactly the space I needed, because I had designed the facade, the whole facade, this raised section across. I designed the entire facade. I knew exactly what each of the facade spaces needed to look like. What I needed to know was the interior apartment spaces. And so I saw, okay, you offer this many types of singles, doubles, triples, and quadruples for your apartments with 1 or 2 bathrooms. And these are the layouts of them. And so what I did is I spent like 3 hours after having built the facade. I spent like 3 hours just mathing out. Okay. And I like drew a little diagram for myself. On each of the floors, I need all of the single bedrooms to be in this section. I need all of the doubles, the 2-bedroom 1 baths to be in these sections, the 2-bedroom 2 baths to be in these other sections, the 3 bedrooms and the 4 bedrooms 2 baths to be in these sections to fill out the space. And I got down to it, and when I actually built the thing, I had not a single extra block of space to work with. And it is probably, it's not the building that I love the most, but it is the building I am most proud of having accomplished actually constructing. Because this is a real building that I only have so much information about because I, A, don't live in it, B, don't have access to most of it, and C, had to only use publicly available resources to go and find. And it was awesome. It was awesome for me to figure out exactly all the little tiny intricacies. Every single one of these apartments are the exact size, shape, and layout of each real apartment actually in this building. And all of the garage space, or all of the parking space, is exactly the parking space. This back alley is an actual back alley. If only, if it weren't for the fact that the block actually kind of ends there, I would have probably been like exactly down right where I needed it to be. This was definitely the most ambitious building in this section of town. Now we're going to head again. We've got 35 minutes. I'm going to be quick. I'm not going to go into any of the interiors of the buildings I'm about to show you, but up here, I'm going to show you the college space. We're going to go ahead and spawn 16, 15, 24, 93, both negatives. All right, close enough. Gotham State University. Nice big front gate. Right here, nice big front gate. Travels all the way across. So just as an overhead to tell you all the different buildings here, we've got the parking lot. We've got a parking structure that is connected to the parking lot. This is the only way in and out through. This is the only entrance and exit that vehicles have. This is a walking campus, not a drivable campus, which I've got mixed feelings on. But I think it makes sense for this city. If Gotham City is set in New Jersey, East Coast, old university, if not for the fact that it clearly can't be an Ivy League university. It's got, it's got the aesthetic, it's got the feel, it's got the atmosphere of an Ivy League university. It's a walkable campus. It's not going to be a drivable campus. we've got the physics department over here. We got the physics and the various physics departments. Whether it's theoretical, functional, practical, whatever. This is the physics department. It's got 3 massive observatory domes. It was a lot of fun to design the interior of those observatory domes. We might have more time at some other time to go and tour those, if you guys really have enjoyed this. We've got an administration building here, which is an office building for administration work. We've got a multi-purpose building here that is largely for smaller events. That is based off of a real building. This is based off of a real building as well. This is the engineering department, as opposed to the physics department. This is the engineering department. In the basement of the engineering department is a massive workshop. I forget which, but if I remember to do so, well, look, I'm not going to chop this VOD up into mini videos. I'm just going to leave the VOD as a VOD. At some point, if we ever do end up doing a complete tour of each of these spaces, I could probably make one building its own tour video for each of these buildings. Or buildings that are supposed to be paired, I can make them their own tour videos, all that kind of stuff. But this is based off of a real building from an actual university, as many of these are, because I wanted this to feel like every university, not one, every university. So this is a real engineering department from a real building. The real building that was a real engineering department actually in a university that had a 1930s Art Deco aesthetic to it, and that's what really drew my eye to it. In the basement, it's got an absolutely massive workshop space. Over here, we have the I'm forgetting what this building was called, because this is the medical building. This is the medical school, as it were. This is the medical school. This is a multi-purpose classroom building. I'm forgetting what this one was called. If I remember it, I'll go back to it. But this is the architecture building. This is based off of Old Seton Hall at Kansas State University. In the basement of this, it has a massive studio space in the basement, where all the architecture students can come and actually draft all of their ideas. Again, based off of a real building. A lot of the renovations that have been done to Seton there's a massive extension that's on this section that I didn't build here because I just had this length to work with. And then the basement is a complete renovation. This is the administration building for Gotham State University. The administration building is based off of the Gotham State University building, the only Gotham State University building in DC Universe Online. The entirety of Gotham State University in DC Universe Online takes place in this building. I said, what is it? It's like double it and give it to the next person or whatever. I doubled it and gave it to the next person. And so this is just the administration building. It could be the entire university, but it's just the administration building. My mental map and my personal chronology is that when Gotham State University was founded, the entire university did take place inside of this one building because they needed one centralized building that could house everything. It is a massive building. It is a hilariously massive building. Right here is another hilariously massive building. This is the art museum. That of course it's an art museum. This is the campus's art museum. That houses different types of art at different periods throughout the year, as well as hosts different events, different galas, all kinds of different things. This is that building. These are twin multi-purpose classroom buildings, West Hall and Ward Hall. If you can figure out why, then you get bonus bat points. These two buildings here are the only two currently built on-campus dorm buildings. Both, this first one is based off of a real dorm building whose name I'm forgetting. I believe it was for Cornell University, although it could be for Yale as well. I'm forgetting exactly what it is, but I will remember it as soon as the stream is over. This is a real dorm building. This is, again, a massive undertaking, designing every single element of this building to actually work, to actually function. Insane. And then I realized we had this empty space here, and I thought, okay, I could build I could build a leisure space, or because it's bumped up right against the street. I don't know how much of a leisure space in a college, in a university, you can have that's bumped up right against the street. It's going to be kind of noisy. How about I build some more environmental soundproofing? I'll build a second dorm, and this second dorm has many of the aesthetic qualities of this first dorm building. Certainly not nearly the same size, but still sizable enough dorm spaces that it's actually that it actually feels like, yeah, this is a dorm. This is totally a dorm. This here is the massive library, again based off of a real library. I believe it was one of the Ivy Leagues, or it was Stanford, that this massive library came from. Real library, actual thing. I spent 3 seasons of Smallville building this one building. 3 seasons of Smallville were spent. I was listening to them in the background and watching them on my second monitor, building just this building. 3 seasons. That is an average of 66 episodes. Between 66 and 72 episodes. Well, 66 and 75 episodes spent building just this one building, because of how much detail needed to go into this. And even still, you see this little section up here? That is a glitch. That is a processing glitch that every time I go and fill this section back up, fix it, reload the map, it breaks it. So I might just have to go in there and place, under renovation, whatever. Just so, at the very least, there's a reason for it, it's not just there. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to do something with it. And then this, again, a real building. This is the performing arts school at Gotham State University. This is the performing arts school. Massive opera and theater space on the inside. On the there's essentially the way it's laid out. There's a ring going around this section that is all that is all essentially like hallways and pathways, and then the first and second floors of the interior space here are all completely dedicated to a massive theater, a beautiful massive theater that I had a lot of fun designing. Again, it's a real building. And then the third floor, there's recording studios, there's classrooms, there's administration, all on the third floor of this performing arts school. Now, we can go ahead and fly around some of this, but I can't actually show much of the interiors, only because we now have 25 minutes left, and I really tried to speed through. So I'll let this render in, but that's the administration building. I'll let it render in, though. All right, and this is the art museum with a clock. Not a functioning clock, though I wish. It is set, the time is set at 10:48, either AM or PM, but on the clock it is 10:48. 10:48 exactly, because, again, morbid Batman knowledge that I have. 10:48 is in canon, 10:48 PM is the exact time of day that Bruce's parents died. Were shot. Not that they were. This isn't the time of day that they were pronounced dead. This is the time of day that they were shot. They would be taken to the morgue and pronounced dead, or pronounced dead on the site as soon as cops arrived, or whatever it happened to be. But this is the exact time of day that they were shot. because I have to choose some amount of time. But the interior space is currently largely undecorated because it is a multi-purpose museum space. There's lots of space in it, and it's based off of a real building. Almost all of these spaces are based off of real buildings. I simply forget what they're called. So here we go. This is the School for Architecture and Architecture Planning and Design, based off of, in fact, almost a one-to-one build of Seton Hall, or at least Old Seton, at Kansas State University. I wonder why I know that. And then here we have the Engineering Hall. Again, this is a real building. This building took me 2 seasons of Star Trek the Original Series. This took me 2 seasons of Star Trek the Original Series to complete the layout and design of this entire building. And then here we go. Once it all loads in, come on, load in. This is the physics. This is the physics department over here. Oh, that reminds. Okay, so I do remember this building here. This one that I couldn't remember what the department it was. This is the bio and I mean, it's the biochem department. It's the biology and chemistry departments at the school, and I love the brick detail. It took me so long to get the brick detailing, but I love the brick detailing. This is, again, the medical school. This is a multi-purpose school space here. These 3 buildings, the multi-purpose school space, the medical school, the biochem department, and Old Seton. So all these 4 buildings, I spent 3 seasons of 3 seasons of the X-Files. 3 seasons of the X-Files building those 4 buildings. I know. I know, man. It's a lot of time, and also probably could have been more efficient if I wasn't so invested in the show. But there's so much that simply won't render right now, only because of the massive amount of resources that it takes. But here we go. Another real building. I loved the stained glass that I got to design for this, because the real building has a big stained glass window, and I thought, ooh, based off of that alone, this building has to be my performing arts building. Of all the different performing arts buildings I could choose, this has to be the one. And I forget. So for the first 2 floors are the the big theater space, and then above that big theater space here, we have another performing arts space, specifically a choir space. And this is it. I mean, it's a beautiful space. It's a beautiful space, man. I had a lot of fun dealing with the scaffolding as well. I watched 3 seasons of the 2004 era Batman cartoon while I built just this one building. Another show I like to go back and rewatch every so often. Lots of fun, that. Oh no, I deleted my quartz block, my quartz stairs. All right, there we go. So this is, performing arts building. Actual performing arts building. It's really got these nice massive bell towers, and then of course back here, we got the continuation of this big dorm hall, which is a real dorm hall. If you recognize the design, tell me what the dorm hall is. I forget what it's called. And then the massive, the absolutely obtuse, insanely large, real, design based off of a real building library. Look at that massive library space interior. Look at, it's beautiful. I had so much fun. I had so much fun building all of this space. And then down here, and I won't go through it now because we're running out of time, We've got 19 more minutes, and I've got one more extremely important building to show you. Down here, all of these buildings are, except for, of course, this parking lot, all these buildings here are, all these buildings are Greek life houses. Basically, what I'm going to do is separate from here. These are all frats, and then on this side, I'm going to build a bunch of sororities. And let's see, for each of these, in building all of these frat houses together, I would say I spent the equivalent of watching. I mean, I watched a bunch of X-Men movies. You know. So the ones I watched, and here's my watch order. The perfect watch order for X-Men movies, because not all of them are great. Some of them are okay. Most of them are crap. Here's the perfect watch order for X-Men movies, okay? You don't watch Logan. As good of a movie as Logan is, don't watch Logan because it removes a lot of the important X-Men stuff. You don't watch Logan, and the only two newer X-Men movies you watch are First Class and Days of Future Past. Here's the order: X-Men First Class, X-Men 1 through 3, Logan, and Days of Futures Past. It feels like a complete story, a complete character arc for Wolverine. You watch those. You just watch those. And the 2014 Wolverine movie, it's got a rough ending, but it's a fun movie. It's such a fun movie. Really rough ending, but such a fun movie. And I watched those movies in that order. Like twice, maybe, when building all of these. Mostly because I was super interested in what I was watching, and less interested in what I was building, only because, again, I'm using actual building references to make it feel like a real college campus and real college life space. These are real buildings that I had to actually visualize. Okay, what's the layout going to be like? How am I going to work with all this? And all of the buildings were designed between 1920 and 1950. So, you know, it all fits in, with the exception of, which one is it? The exception of this one here. This one here is a much newer space. Okay, we've got just over 15 minutes left today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to show you a contender for the single most important building in any Gotham City, Wayne Manor. Wayne Manor. The first thing I ever built, and the thing I've come back to do some renovations on over time. We're going to start way back down here. 3152 6490. 3152 6490. $64.90. Yes. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely perfect. I wasn't even planning on the angle I was walking it. Okay. So, obviously I haven't built any of the road connections or whatever, but eventually when I do, here we go. Let's walk up to Wayne Manor. We've got, as you can see them coming in on both of the sides here. You've got multi-car garage spaces. They've got 3 garage doors, but room for plenty more cars in them. And you get the big fountain at the center, a nice big roundabout driveway space, and oh man, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, Wayne Manor. Built on a nice big platform space. Wayne Manor. Wayne Manor, my Wayne Manor, is based off of a real English manor house. In fact, it is as close to a one-to-one build of a real English manor house as I possibly could. You might think, why would you build an English manor house as Wayne Manor? Well, for a multitude of reasons. If we're talking architecturally, it matters because the time that this building was built matches up rather well with the time that Wayne Manor should have been built within DC canon, being, you know, approximately the late 18th, early 19th century. The building timelines line up pretty well there. Obviously, there've been renovations to Wayne Manor, all that kind of stuff, but also because Hatfield House, the interior of Hatfield House, is where many of the shots of the Tim Burton Batman movies were filmed for Wayne Manor. You've got the long arsenal section, the armory, that was filmed at Hatfield House. The ballroom, that was filmed at Hatfield House. The stairwells, filmed in Hatfield House. If you know the Burton Batman movies, you can picture the interiors I'm talking about. Any of the interior shots of Wayne Manor, at least for Batman 89 and a lot of Batman 92, although I cannot confirm every bit of Batman 92. But many of the interior shots for Batman 92 and all of the interior shots for Batman 89 for Wayne Manor were filmed inside of Hatfield House. There is no better place I could choose as an actual place to be Wayne Manor. Now you might think, wait, but wasn't there another place that worked as Wayne Manor for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin? Yes, but Batman and Robin shouldn't be a movie, and Batman Forever could have been better. So I chose the better two. I chose the better two to base my Wayne Manor off of. And honestly, a little bit more important of a building to me, Hatfield House. Now there's some very funny architectural quirks of Hatfield House. In fact, the top floor is in the real Hatfield House. The top floor is split in half. For the purposes of discussion here, the left side is the Lord's chambers, and the right side is the ladies' chambers, because remember, this was built at a time when the lords and ladies of houses did not actually sleep in the same room. It was considered uncivilized. It was considered too common, all this kind of stuff. Things that we wouldn't actually really think much about today at all were absolutely the case at the time. Especially for the gentry, for the upper class, all this kind of stuff. This wasn't unheard of in the United States, but it was less common in the United States for sure. We just have a different culture about these things. But what that ended up meaning for me is that Bruce Wayne's bedroom is 2 floors tall. Bruce Wayne has a 2-floor bedroom. And it's the dumbest looking bedroom. I love it, and it's so funny, and it totally fits into the Playboy billionaire philanthropist aesthetic, but it is so stupid. It is so stupid. There's like 20 bedrooms in this place. There's not nearly enough bathrooms. There's like 20 bedrooms in this place. There's a hilariously massive kitchen. I can't show everything as much as I would like to, because 1, we're like 10 minutes left, and 2, Wayne Manor is only the above ground section of Wayne Manor is only half of the importance of Wayne Manor. But let's talk interiors. Now, as a reminder, this was the very first building I built. Many things in here I would redo if I wasn't already set on the layout of Wayne Manor and I hadn't worked off of actual architectural drawings. I found publicly available actual architectural drawings of Hatfield House, of the actual layout of Hatfield House, so I stayed as close to those in room layout as I possibly could. Here is where all of the interior shots for the entire ballroom or the entire party scene for Batman 89, where Bruce first meets Vicky and Knox. This is that ballroom space. Way across here, this is a nice big storage space. Over here, we've got the laundry room. Then we've got a little one of like 1,000 different little alcoves, relaxation alcoves. We've got one of the massive staircases. It's either this one or its reflected brother on the other end of the house. That was the stairwell where the stairwell shots were filmed for Batman '89 inside Wayne Manor. I know, I talk about it a lot. And this is a massive kitchen space that was not the kitchen space that was used this is not the kitchen space that was used in the actual interior shots in Batman '89, because that was a different room that was turned into a kitchen space for the movie. But this is the actual size of the kitchen at Hatfield House. Not the layout, because they don't have all the item layouts, but this is the actual size of the kitchen at Hatfield House, and it is hilariously large. I love how stupidly large this kitchen is, because it's entirely unnecessary. We've got some wine, readily available wine, and we've also... Oh, we don't anymore. That's right. I got rid of that early on while I was building the thing. But at one point, this was a separate room, and it had this massive keg, this hilariously massive keg inside of it. Now, the real Hatfield House, this was the Lord's Chapel, because in many of these manor house complexes, the closest all of the servants would have lived on site. They would have very, very infrequent access or infrequent time that they could go into the actual city, but religion was extremely important to British life and culture at the time, Western culture as a whole. So, if you were serving in the house of a lord, you went to whatever the local chapel was. And for many, not all, but for many, the local chapel was actually built into the home itself. And the chaplain or the priest or the parishioner, whoever it was, in some cases the bishop, whoever the priest or pastor or leader of the church was, they would also live on site. They would live inside the chapel space. Well, given that Bruce, though Bruce was raised as a Christian, this is multiple comics discuss this, and I'm very happy about that. While Bruce was raised as a Christian and his father was very devout, his father and mother were very devout, he himself is not. So he converted this space into a massive 2-floor swimming pool that you can jump in from the top, nice big high dive, because it looks really cool. It looks really cool. It looks really, really cool. I can't show you all of the bedrooms, all of the bedroom spaces. There's at least 20. And if this does really well, I could go back and probably show you guys everything. If the VOD does well on YouTube, I don't know. We'll see. Over here, we've got another ballroom space for more party stuff. Nice little dance floor. I like it. Over here, we have the tasting room, which again, a real space inside of Hatfield House, actual space inside of Hatfield House, the tasting room. And I decided, because Bruce hosts so many parties at Wayne Manor, it's not just the tasting room. This room not only is a great tasting room for alcohol, it also is where where he stores the alcohol. Obviously, he's got basement storage for the particular needs of each kind of alcohol. Yes, I know, but I'm thinking, you know what? For parties, I'm like he's got taps like built into the thing. It's fun. It's over the top. It's very Bruce Wayne. It's not very Batman, but it's very Bruce Wayne. This is the big armory, or the arsenal, or as Knox puts it in the movie. There are supposed to be doors here, but I enjoyed the look of just the big hallway instead. And the architectural drawings of Hatfield House had conflicting ideas as to whether or not there were doors here or whether or not this was just one big open space. And I thought, okay, we'll go with the one big open space. Now, these columns are not here in the actual building. I put the columns here because I thought, well, I don't like the safety code of this massive open gaping wound in this building that has no pillar supports. And this is an extremely heavy building. The materials it's using, extremely heavy materials. The reinforcements that this building has, because it's Bruce Wayne, the steel reinforcements of this building, extremely heavy materials. We're putting some columns here. And I don't have armors on these stands because I'm still looking for a mod that has really nice armor designs. Okay, we are definitely... there it is. Look at that. There's the big keg. I moved it. There's the big keg. That's a fun little thing. There it is. That's right. I was debating whether or not it's going to go there or whether or not it's going to go there. Okay, anyway. As I said, I don't have time to show you everything, but I have time to show you a few more important things. We're definitely going over time, but it's important. It's important. It's kind of important to the core of who and what Wayne Manor is. Who Bruce is and what Wayne Manor is as a whole. So, this was a very common thing that you would see as a way of showing off to their fellow countrymen. This is a very common thing that landed gentry would do, that we have record of landed gentry doing, whether it's in the United States or in England or broader Europe, whatever it happened to be. One of the things they would do is they would build in-house greenhouses, like inside the walls of their house itself, and paint them. They would hire extremely talented artists to paint the interior walls and the sky, the interior walls and the ceiling to look like the sky. They would put clouds up. They would have the big central lighting space, if it was late enough in history to have a big central lighting space. They'd have the big central lighting space painted to look like the sun. It's extremely clever, and it's all in an effort to just say, screw you, I have more money than you, to the other rich people. It's a very funny, just little jab that is totally like, this is the thing that you would expect Bruce Wayne to have. So in here is Bruce's private study, which I totally did not design as a dream study for myself. Totally not. No, not at all. This is Bruce's private study. Another custom painting is a very pixelated, very Minecrafty version of the painting in Batman the Animated Series of Thomas and Martha Wayne hanging up on the wall right there. It's a nice space. He's got a larger print of this in the bedroom that I also put up, but this is the original. This one right here. It's hidden away in his office that only he and those close to him are allowed to enter. You know, the public isn't allowed in, all that kind of stuff. There's only one entrance and one exit. This space goes into a family room space that only can be accessed from this office or from his dad's study. Now his dad's study, which also has a print, not the original, but a print of the painting. There's no light source behind it, which is why it looks darker. This is based off of another. This is my second homage to Adam West. This is as close to a one-to-one recreation, even down to the telephone and the William Shakespeare bust. This is as close to a one-to-one recreation of the Wayne study in the Adam West Batman movies as I could make. Now, sadly, I do not currently have an operating bat pole. I don't. I apologize. I wish I did, because it'd be funny, and I would totally use it. I would totally use that as our way to get into the Batcave. But what I do have is the more contemporary, more iconic for those of us who read comics, more contemporary, more iconic Kevin Conroy Batcave entrance just behind the grandfather clock. The long staircase down into the ominous space, and the first thing you see, by design, the first thing you see when you walk in is Jason Todd's batsuit. First thing you see. So that he never forgets. He always knows why he continues to do what he does, why he has to take precautions with his sidekicks, why he's extra cautious now. Now this is likely not the final design for this Batcave. This is like the third or fourth version of the Batcave that I've gone through, and elements of it are taken from the comics. Elements of it are taken from the animated series. For instance, the wall of costumes back here, and also an empty space because Superheroes Unlimited never made a Batgirl costume. Why didn't you? Oh boy, it's stupid that Superheroes Unlimited never made a Batgirl costume. What is wrong with you? Why didn't you make one? You should have made one. You made a Wonder Woman. You made a Wonder Woman. You made a Scarlet Witch. You made a Supergirl. You didn't make a Batgirl? Are you kidding me? You didn't make a Batgirl? Come on. Come on. You didn't. You finish off the Bat family. Anyway, the Bat computer is based off of one of the iterations of the Bat computer from the DC animated universe. This is not the one from this is not the one from Batman the Animated Series or from Batman Beyond. This is the one from the Justice League show, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. That's what this one is. And then back here we've got the Batcave computers from The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Of course, I mean, it's got the logo. We've got an elevator, and when I'm probably going to end up redoing this, but this extends all the way out and does have an exit. This is where the Batmobile enters and exits from the cave. I'm definitely going to end up redoing this eventually. I need to do work on other buildings. Need to get some more progress on the overall city completed. We've got varying light sources, of course. We've got the sea lanterns, because I like the blue, and the blue's a very Batman thing. We've also got these really fun hollow light designs that I built, that kind of just came up with, and I'm like, ooh, I like how they kind of just float there a little bit. Like, it looks just realistic enough. Going down the stairs here, we've got a nice little training section. You can throw your batarangs. You can practice your different fighting styles, whatever it happens to be. You continue down the stairs. Right down here, you can spar. No cushion, but you can spar. And then you continue farther down, and yeah, again, I'm likely going to redo sections of this because where's the Batboat going to be? Where does the Batwing go? All the other things. But if we go back up here and we take this elevator, come on. Take this elevator down to the second floor. This is the armory. This is where all of the bat suits and all of the suits from the various Robins, even Stephanie Brown. They don't have Batgirl in this. They don't have Batgirl in this mod, but they have Stephanie Brown's Robin. Just give us Batgirl. Just give us Batgirl. Okay, we've got the 3 Dick Grayson outfits. Classic Dick Grayson, Young Justice Dick Grayson, and custom Dick Grayson that the mod author created. We've got we've also got the Nightwing outfits. This is Rebirth Nightwing, New 52 Nightwing. I believe this is Arkham Nightwing, Arkham City Nightwing. Arkham City or Arkham Knight Nightwing? I think that's Arkham City Nightwing. And then the one that's upstairs, that's classic Nightwing. And then we've got Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown, because Jason Todd only had one batsuit. We've got Tim Drake's Tim Drake's second Robin costume. This is what he wore after the death of Superboy. We've got the Red Robin costume. It's not the. Yeah, I know. Oh yeah. Ooh, the restaurant. Yeah, no. And then Stephanie Brown, who for a time wore Tim's Robin costume as a stand-in when she believed him to be dead, but really it was a ruse because he needed to go undercover because of it's a comic drama, okay? And then all the bat suits. We've got here Arkham Origins, The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. We've got BVS and the Snyder movies. We've got one that's custom to this mod. We've got New 52. We've got a second one that's custom to this mod. We've got the animated series. We've got the new Batman Adventures, which was the sequel to the animated series that was done in like 97, 98, in the same art style as Superman the animated series. We've got the Justice Lord's Batman, which is an alternate universe inside of the DCAU. It's an alternate universe where the Justice League went bad, and it's a really, really cool looking suit. And evil Batman is the first one to be like, yeah, damn, we went evil. I'm sorry. We totally went evil. They didn't start killing. Superman's the only one who took a life, and the only life he took was Lex Luthor's. They started lobotomizing all the other villains, which is a move. That's an option. And then here we have classic Batman. Just pure classic Batman. Some deep blues, the grays with the yellow oval. Classic Batman. You know, classic Batman from the late 60s clear through to the late 90s. This was the Batsuit. Variations of this, but this was the Batsuit. The new look Batman, as it were. Then we go back up. And the Batsuit that is currently in here is yet another one custom to this mod pack, which I really like. I think it's really cool. I think it's pretty solid. And it reflects the modern Batman as it is today. Modern Batman is currently in the stage of gray suit, black logo, no gold. The belt is muted colors, all that kind of stuff. And current Batman's kind of reflected there. Of course, we've got Red Hood. Now that Jason has returned, we've got an extra set of the Red Robin outfit, and then we've got Damian Wayne's Batman. Damian Wayne's Robin costume, because he's like 10 years old. He's like 10 years old, maybe. It's pretty good. It's pretty funny. But that is everything. I went overtime, and I really tried not to go overtime. But I went overtime, and that is everything that we have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. It is amazing to me that we made it to 100 live streams. It is genuinely amazing to me that we made it to 100 live streams. I was never expecting to make it this far. Never once was I expecting to make it to hell, I wasn't even expecting to make it to 50, let alone 100. I knew that, you know, playing all the Arkham games, if somehow I made it through all the Arkham games, that would take, you know, that'd be like 20 or 30 something episodes. But I never expected to make it to 100 live streams here on Kick. That's insane. That's absurd. That should never have happened. Honestly, there's no good reason I should have ever been able to make it to this. You know, there was everything in the world was telling me I didn't have the time, I didn't have the resources, I did not have the energy or and could not put in the effort to do it. And it may not seem like much to many people, and I understand that. In certain respects, it isn't. But you know what? That is 100 days that I spent with you guys. That is 3 months. That is 3 months and 10 days that I have spent with you guys. The 3 months and 10 days that I have spent just doing this. Assuming that the 3 months I'm discussing are all 30-day months. I know. But it's approximately 3 months and 10 days that I spent doing this. If I were to average out everything, if I were to count everything as exactly 3 hours, which we know it isn't, some are more, some are less, depending on requirements. But that is approximately 300 hours of live footage that is uploaded as VODs to the second channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Now, I do have one last thing, because I said I would do this. I said I would do this towards the beginning, when we were like half an hour in. I said I would do this. There is one thing that I forgot to do in most buildings, and have built in most of the buildings that I have built since Park Row, since the Narrows. Most of the buildings if not all of the buildings in South Channel Island, you know, Gotham State University or the college town surrounding it, all of them do have this one thing. What is the one thing that I forgot to do in most buildings? I'll give you 5 more seconds before I call it out. So submit your answers now if you've been thinking about it. Submit your answers now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The last thing, the thing that I was so upset that I didn't put in all of the Park Row buildings, is in almost every single one of them. I did not build a toilet. I did not build a bathroom. And it infuriated me, because I was trying to build as close to a realistic recreation, the spirit of a one-to-one recreation. Oh man, I spit a little bit there. I'm very sorry. The spirit of a one-to-one recreation of Gotham City that I possibly could. I wanted to make it as detailed as I possibly could, so that every single person who might, maybe, perhaps 20 years down the line play this as a Minecraft RP server could go in and say literally everything I needed to do in order to make it feel like I was playing a Minecraft life simulator. I could do. And I forgot to build toilets. And that's what it is. That's what it is. That is more shameful to me than the building I don't like discussing that I talked about at the beginning of this. More shameful to me than that. I did not build toilets or bathrooms in the majority of buildings that I've built on this map, and it is depressing. It is very sad. Now I actively think about bathroom placement in every single one of the buildings that I build. That's why looking at architectural diagrams is so important to me, so I know, okay, bathroom here, bathroom there. This is exactly the amount of space I have for it, so this is exactly how I have to build it, all that kind of stuff. But that was the one thing. The one thing that I didn't do. The one thing I didn't manage to be able to get done. I was not able to build toilets. Because it just passed me by. Because you never think about toilets in Minecraft. You never need to think about toilets in Minecraft. But that's the one that got me. That's the one that passed me by. And so now I think about it every time I build something on this map. It is the first thing I think about is, okay, how am I going to fit toilets into this space? If I don't already know what the interior looks like, and I can't find diagrams or reference images for what the interior looks like, I have to... The first places that I design are the bathrooms, so I can fit everything else around it. And it is... it will haunt me forever, man. It will haunt me forever. But that is everything. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been a ton of fun for me. This is wow, 100 episodes, 100 live streams. It is a miracle that I made it this far, guys. It is an absolute miracle that I made it this far. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Got no idea what to say. But thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. We will be jumping back into Fallout 4. Now that we've terraformed so much stuff, we can jump back into Fallout 4 tomorrow. We can actually start building things at the castle instead of just interiors. We can start building more things at the castle. And if you guys have really enjoyed this tour of Project Gotham City and would like to see tours of specific buildings, or perhaps more build time on the Gotham City map, then we can work that in. We can totally do that. I'd like to build things in a variety of games, clearly. And we can totally do that. Just let me know what you guys think, either live or in the comments of each of these VODs. If you've watched live and you had to jump out at any given time, then feel free to go ahead and if you're up to it, go ahead and find the entire live stream uploaded either very late tonight or very early tomorrow morning to my YouTube VOD channel, CN Games. That is CN Games, the letters C and the letters N, and then Games. It's got a very similar logo to what you'll find here on the Kick channel. Obviously, it would help me a ton if you would follow me here on Kick and like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you are watching the VOD already, well, congratulations! You already got step number 1. Everything else is easy. In the description of every single VOD, I have links to everywhere you can find me: my socials, my Kick channel if you want to come and watch live, and the other YouTube channels I have. My main channel, which is just my name, and a third channel that I haven't uploaded anything to yet because I'm still trying to figure out what I want the third channel to be. It's called CN Speaks. I don't want it to be particularly scripted. I want it to be largely off the cuff. There will be some editing, but it's not going to be, documentary or video essay edits. It's going to be simpler stuff. So thank you one last time. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Approximately the same bat time. Definitely the same bat channel. All right. Have a good one.